Baseball Classic, making America's game the international
El Clásico Mundial de Béisbol hace del pasatiempo estadounidense una pasión
The
internacional.
World Baseball Classic. Baseball is spoken here.
The United States had some surprises in round one, but survived and advanced. Today, they take on a dangerous Japanese team as round two of the World Baseball Classic gets underway from Anaheim. Your uniform is a flag. Your talent, a testament to the land where it grew. The game that means America now means so much to the world. And for 2 weeks, all the world's a stadium where legends in the making and legends already made will play for country and love of the game. Today, in round two of the round robin, a nation with a cherished baseball tradition of its own, with programs and proficiency on every level, including the major leagues. Japan, led by Ichiro Suzuki, takes on a United States team that woke up and then some against South Africa. With Ken Griffey Jr. supplying the firepower and the Rocket throwing smoke, the mercy rule was invoked. Today, they hope to rise again against the land of the rising sun, playing not for penance, but for pride, not for rings, but for bragging rights in the World Baseball Classic. Today from Anaheim, California, it's round two of the World Baseball Classic presented by Taco Bell. And this afternoon, two baseball powers collide for the first time in tournament play. The United States and Japan, both rosters filled with all-stars from their respective nations. Both slipped a bit, though, on their way to round two. Unexpected losses, so Team USA and Japan are number 2 seeds. Here's Pool 1, Mexico and Korea meeting in a fascinating matchup tonight, each with very strong pitching staffs. Cuba, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and the Dominican Republic squaring off in Pool 2 in San Juan. Welcome to Angel Stadium, everybody. I'm Dave O'Brien, along with Rick Sutcliffe and Eric Karros. Thanks for joining us. Duke Castiglione joining us on the field in just a moment. And Eric, let's talk about Ichiro Suzuki, the great Japanese star, leading off for them today. He's won an MVP on 2 continents. There can't be more pressure on any one player in this tournament to get his team into the finals than there is on Ichiro.
Well, over the past 14 seasons, there isn't a better hitter in the world than Ichiro. 7 batting titles in Japan, 2 batting titles already here in the U.S. His first year in the States, won an MVP award. But the first part of this tourney, only 3 hits in 3 games. He acknowledges feeling the pressure, but he says it's good pressure. And if there's ever a place for Ichiro to relax, it's here in Anaheim, where historically he has hit over 350.
Very good success here. And let's talk about Jake Peavy, Rick Sutcliffe. Dontrell Willis is on this roster. Roger Clemens is on this roster. So some might say, why is Jake Peavy the #1 starter and in such a big game like this one against Japan?
I'm telling you right now, if you ask Roger Clemens at 43 years of age, he would say the right choice would be Jake Peavy. Only 24 years of age. He's already led the majors in earned run average. Last year he led the National League in strikeouts. And in round 1 against Mexico for 3 innings, he simply dominated. Buck Martinez, the manager in that ball game, went with Peavy, closer, 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 closer. And he told us before the game today that with the lead, that will be his plan of attack here this afternoon.
Well, it seemed inevitable when the pools were announced for this inaugural World Baseball Classic. The U.S. would face Japan at some point in the tournament. Well, that first time is now. Japan's legendary home run king, Sadahara O, says this is the time for his country to win America's respect for Japanese baseball. It's round 2 of the World Baseball Classic, Japan and the United States, coming up next.
ESPN2's telecast of the World Baseball Classic is presented by the Taco Bell Chicken Caesar Grilled Stuffed Burrito, the burrito for Chicken Caesar salad lovers, and in part by CDW, the right technology right away.
Welcome, everybody, to Angel Stadium here in Southern California. Rick Sutcliffe, Eric Karros, and Dave O'Brien with you. It's the World Baseball Classic presented by Taco Bell. It's Japan against the United States in a much heralded matchup here. Today's telecast from Southern California, available on ESPN2 in high definition, presented by Dish Network. Well, one of the special treats of this tournament is seeing in person the great stars of international baseball. And as we bring in Duke Castiglione, Duke, the Babe Ruth, the Hank Aaron of Japan, is managing his team today. The legendary Sadahara O, baseball's all-time home run king.
Yes, Sarahara got a great ovation when he was introduced today, and why not? He's hit 868 home runs. He's the world's leader in home runs. He also won 9 MVPs and 11 championships as a player, and because of all that, he's in the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame. However, there is a push from over in Japan and even here in the United States to get him into Cooperstown, the National Baseball Hall of Fame. That should be interesting. This game should be interesting. Obi, back to you.
All right, Duke, thank you very much. 15 times in his incredible career, he won the home run title in Japan. And remember, that was with 130 and 140 game seasons. And he achieved 868 career home runs. And as you mentioned, a huge round of applause for Sarahara before this game. Now look at the starting lineups. And for Japan, brought to you by MLB 06, the show. And at the top of the order, Ichiro Suzuki will lead things off. Tsuyoshi Nishioka has excellent speed. Hiyoshi Tamura hit 31 home runs for Yokohama last season. And the big power for Japan is the designated hitter, Nobuhiko Matsunaka, 46 home runs for the Fukuoka Hawks last season.
And Dave, I think that's the big surprise about Japanese baseball. It's not small ball anymore. They are aggressive. Speed at 1, 2, and 9. Power from 3 to 7. Each one of those guys capable of hitting the ball out of the park.
Up against the right-hander for the San Diego Padres, Jake Peavy, 13-7 last season. The Padre ace was superb, Rick, in his first start against Mexico Tuesday in Phoenix with 3 shutout innings.
And he knows a lot about this lineup. He went over with Major League Baseball All-Stars after the 04 season and dominated in Game 3 and again in Game 8 when the United States won that series. He too is familiar with Ichiro, with the Mariners and Padres sharing the same complex.
Eric Karros, not a bad defensive alignment around Jake Peavy today.
No, you got gold gloves at just virtually almost every position. Ken Griffey patrolling center field, and of course Derek Lee, probably the best defensive first baseman in the big leagues, over at first base.
And Ichiro Suzuki settling in, wearing the number 51 for Japan. The great star in right field, where of course he has one of the best arms on the planet. He takes the first one down low for a ball, and we are underway on an overcast day here in Anaheim with a threat of rain. And it is on the chilly side here in Southern California. Just 3 out of 13 so far for Ichiro, as Japan advanced to Anaheim as the number 2 seed out of Pool A behind Korea. As you get a look at the ballpark here in Anaheim, he swings and stings along in the right field. Wells backing up, turning, and that's gone. Talk about a quick start for Japan. Ichiro jumping all over the Jake Peavy pitch and taking him out of the ballpark to make it 1-0 Japan.
Well, that's what's dangerous about Ichiro. He can put the ball in play, he can hit it anywhere he wants, and he also demonstrates a lot of power. When we think of Ichiro as a hitter, we usually think this is a base hit type of guy. But he has the potential to turn on any pitch he wants to. And here Peavy throws a ball, tries to get it in, leaves it a bit out over the plate. And Ichiro, he sure looks relaxed right now.
A quick 1-0 lead for Team Japan as Peavy gives it up. He gave up 1 hit, no runs in 3 innings against Mexico. Nishioka stands in. Tsuyoshi Nishioka, he played for Bobby Valentine's team, Chiba Lotte, the Marines, and led the Pacific League with 41 stolen bases. And up the middle he goes for a base hit, so we may get a chance to see that speed on display right away.
Well, this is a bit surprising for me that I didn't think Japan would come right out of the gate and swing the bat well. They hadn't played in competition in this tournament in almost a week, and usually that has something to do with your timing, the hitting. Now granted, they played some games in Arizona, but it is not the same environment.
Hitoshi Tamura, the left fielder, will get in with a runner at first base, nobody out. Japan quickly in front 1-0. Tamura for the Yokohama Bay Stars, a big star, cuts and misses for a strike, hit 31 home runs and batted .304 last season.
You know, Dave, I went back and looked at the start for Peavy against Mexico. He did not throw 1 changeup nor 1 curveball. Everything he threw was hard, and it looks like Japan is onto that right now. They are very aggressive.
Nishioka holding a broken bat dribbler. Jeter charges, steps on the bag for 1 and turns 2. So Peavy claims the bat and also 2 outs on a soft roller to short.
I was talking to Derek before the game, and he said that defensively he's further behind than he is offensively. And what he means by that is that every good infielder, as you well know, Eric, has a clock. They know when to speed up and they know when to slow down. He took his time getting to that ball so that he would be in place to tag the bag himself, and then he sped up with the good throw.
So 2 down, bases empty. And here's Matsunaka, probably the most powerful hitter in Japan for Fukuoka at .315 with 46 homers and 121 runs batted in. He was the MVP of the Pacific League. Toward the hole, Young down to get it from the outfield grass, throws and gets him, and the side is retired. But Japan strikes first. And a major league star. Before that, a huge star in Japan, Ichiro Suzuki, takes Peavy over the wall, and it is 1-0, Team Japan. Buck Martinez and his Team USA trailing right now to Ichiro and Team Japan. The United States bouncing back from Wednesday's upset loss to Canada and blasting South Africa behind Roger Clemens 17-0. Here's a look at Buck's starting lineup. It's presented by MLB 06, the show, and it's Michael Young, Derek Jeter, and Ken Griffey 1, 2, 3.
Well, talking with the hitting coach for Team USA, Reggie Smith, he says those guys in the heart of the order are a lot better with men on base. That is the goal for Michael Young and Derek Jeter today.
And Eric, they're up against the 30-year-old right-hander Koji Uehara.
Very accomplished pitcher. His last start against China, he said he focused too much on the pitch limit, got himself in a bit of trouble, but has had a great ERA the last few years in Japan.
Michael Young, a .331 average, 24 homers, 91 RBIs for the Texas Rangers a season ago. Takes a pitch outside for ball 1. Now, you were talking about pitch limits, and here in the second round, it goes up to 80, up from 65, as Uehara delivers a strike. And in the next round, in the semis and the finals, and both of these teams thoroughly expect to be there, it's 95 pitches. Uehara delivers, and it's down into the dirt.
And you know, Dave, when I look at that 80 pitches with the control of both of these starting pitchers here today, you got to figure they're going to get into the 5th inning, possibly even the 6th inning.
Uehara actually grew up a big Roger Clemens fan, as that one is cut on and foul, tipped to the plate. So to count 2-2 on Young. So that would not make him unlike scores and thousands and millions of kids around the world. Here in the United States.
I don't know, Eric, were you a big fan of Roger Clemens? Or?
2-2 put in play. It skips off the mound. Nishioka, high throw, not in time, as Ogasawara could not get the tag down on Michael Young. And Young is on here in the first inning on a defensive miscue by Japan.
Well, what this is, a high throw. Ogasawara at first base makes the right play by catching the ball and trying to sweep a tag. Unable to do it, Michael Young beats him out. You know, Ogasawara has to come off the bag. He doesn't come off the bag, that ball gets over his head. Michael Young goes to second base.
Really a nice adjustment there right at the end by Michael Young to avoid that tag.
Nishioka charged with an error on the throw to first base. So a break for Team USA with Derek Jeter getting in on the right side. Nobody out, first inning. 1-0 Japan. He's bunting, drops it down the third base line. Iwamura up and throwing, safe. Jeter beat it out.
How about that? Does he not always find a way to make something big happen? He said in batting practice today, I've got the worst hack going I hopefully will have all year. So you know what? Rather than hitting into a double play, he just wants to get a man into scoring position for a guy right now who's swinging the bat as well as anybody for Team USA.
Well, and if there's any question about Team USA's desire to win this ball game, in the first inning, Derek Jeter is bunting a runner into scoring position already.
And a difficult pitch to bunt on, too, because that ball was up by Uehara, and he really had to go up and get it to drop it down. Iwamura unable to make the play from third base, so runners at first and second, and nobody out.
I think he might have been more surprised than anybody in this ballpark. He was playing deep. No way was he thinking the great Derek Jeter was going to bunt, but Derek Jeter has always been about the team, whoever it might be.
So Japan's early 1-0 lead in difficulty here as Ken Griffey Jr. gets in. And he takes a strike at the knees. The 12-time All-Star led the way over South Africa in the United States 17-0 rout on Friday in Scottsdale, as Jr. went 4 for 4 with 2 homers and 7 runs batted in. His major league career is 8, his career high. That was 6 years ago against Cleveland. He fouls that one back out of play. We go back to that game against South Africa, which was a must-win for Team USA, and it was never in doubt thanks to the early firepower of Ken Griffey Jr.
Ken Griffey Jr. looking like the Ken Griffey Jr. that we became accustomed to watching in the 90s. Player of the decade. He regained his form last year and looks to carry it into the 06 season.
Young at second, Jeter at first. And nobody out in the first inning for Team USA. Outside for a ball.
So important for a hitter, as you well know, Eric, to have his legs. And after the ankle and shoulder surgery that Griffey Jr. had in 03, the right hamstring in 04, he's got his legs back now, and along with that comes his power.
Alex Rodriguez, the DH today, is on deck. Good eye by Jr. again as he lets it go. And the count, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Chipper Jones will follow Alex Rodriguez, and then Derek Lee. So great big power in the heart of the order for the United States. Although just looking for a base hit here from Griffey to tie this thing up at 1 apiece in the first inning. The 2-2 on the outside corner, caught him looking. Bob Davidson rings up Junior Griffey for out number 1.
I don't know about this ball to look to be outside, a generous outside corner. Take a look at the throw there. You see the catcher bring it back. Anytime you see that, the catcher too is telling you that he thought the ball was outside.
Uehara gets the benefit of the call from Davidson. That'll send up Alex Rodriguez now with 2 on and 1 out. Over the last 5 years, Alex Rodriguez has hit more home runs than anyone in the majors, 240. And fastball in there for a strike.
Dave, talking with the hitting coach during batting practice, Reggie Smith, I said, who's close? He said Griffey's obviously swinging it real well, and he said the guy that has come the furthest the last couple of days with that timing and bat speed has been Alex Rodriguez.
And now A-Rod will take a step out here. Just 51 degrees here in Anaheim as we got things started. The lights on here in an afternoon game starting just after 1 o'clock. So a little bit gloomy. A-Rod trying to make it a little sunnier here for the United States, and he takes inside for a ball.
He's got his work cut out for him because, Eric, like you said, Uehara with great ERAs the last several years. You get fooled with that 9-12 record he had last year, but the simple fact is he played for a bad team.
He fires, chopper to third base. Hiramura up with it into second. On to first. The double play turned nicely by Japan. So the United States threatens an error and a bunt single by Derek Jeter, but nothing comes of that, and it remains 1-0 Japan. Back in Anaheim, Eric Karros, Rick Sutcliffe, and Dave O'Brien with you. It's the United States against Japan here in round 2. This is pool 1 of the World Baseball Classic. Fans bundled up a little bit because of the chilly weather we're experiencing here in Southern California. Jake Peavy allowing a home run to Ichiro Suzuki to start the ball game, and Japan has a 1-0 lead with Kosuke Fukudome, the center fielder, has a very strong throwing arm. Cleanup hitter for the Chunichi Dragons. He was second in the Central Division batting race last season. He hit .328.
Obi, you're exactly right. This is a great all-around player. He's won Gold Gloves the last several years. .328 for batting average.
In for a call strike from Peavy. 1-2. They won the batting title back in 2002, hitting .343. That kept current New York Yankees star Hideki Matsui from winning the Triple Crown that year.
Well, and he also has some pop too. We're talking about his hitting ability. He hit 28 home runs last year, so he's not just a guy who puts a bat on the ball.
And talking about his power, let's go back to his home run swing against China in the Asian bracket inside the Tokyo Dome. Kind of a classic Japanese swing, but some serious pop behind it. And now he will step out for a moment. 2 balls and 2 strikes here. Hiramura after him, and then Ogasawara. to hit for Team Japan. That missed the outside corner, and maybe that plate is starting to get a little bit tighter on Bob Davidson.
Well, pitchers pay attention to this. When he saw Ken Griffey Jr. get rung up on a ball off the outside corner, Peavy tried to catch that as well.
You know, pitchers make adjustments, but the hitters are also aware. I can guarantee you next time Ken Griffey Jr. comes to the plate, that pitch 4 or 5 inches off of the plate, he will take the swing.
Well, and I know, too, how you hitters are. Ken Griffey Jr. will come up and say, hey, Bob, I saw the replay. You missed that one.
The 3-2 pitch for Peavy around the outside part of the plate for ball 4. So Peavy walks his first man. And look at the standings now as part of this new look of Pool 1. Round 2. So what Korea did in the first round. So knocking off Japan, handing Japan their only loss in the opening round. It was a bit of a national embarrassment for Japan. They didn't think they were going to lose at all. Mexico knocking off Canada the other night. United States losing in stunning fashion to Canada, but advancing. Uemura trying to drop down a bunt, fouls it away for a strike.
Well, and if anybody didn't think the first round mattered where you finished, both teams that won, Korea and Mexico, are in the main big league dugouts here, while the United States is out in the outfield in an auxiliary clubhouse that reminds a lot of guys of their high school days.
The third baseman, Nakanori Iwamura, hitting out of the 6th spot as the throw into first base not in time to get Fukudome.
I'm telling you, it was pretty funny. I had to go down there and take a look for myself at the clubhouse that they have set up. And once the game's over with and the players are out, they got to get it out because it becomes a media room for game 2 today.
In there for a called strike. Iwamura, a left-handed hitter for the Yakult Swallows. .319 last year, 30 homers. Hit 44 homers. He drove in 103 runs 2 seasons ago. He's won 5 Gold Gloves, and from what we are told, wants desperately to play in the United States, in the major leagues here in the U.S. very soon. He takes up high for a ball.
He's been a star for a long time, just 27 years of age, and he's already played 9 years professionally in Japan.
Fukudome getting his lead at first base. Nobody out in the 2nd inning. That's through the hole for a base hit as Jeter can't reach it. Fukudome moving to second base. Uemura with a base hit, and it's the 3rd hit already off Jake Peavy.
Boy, it's an outstanding piece of hitting here. It's the first changeup that I've seen from Jake Peavy. Take a look at the location, down, away, and rather than trying to pull that ball, he took it right back through the gap between 3rd and short. Both of the middle infielders were cheating towards second base so that on a ground ball they could turn to double play, and he just simply found a hole.
Well, it's a great pitch by Peavy, but great execution by the hitter. And sometimes, just as you have to tip your hat to the pitcher for making a great pitch, as a pitcher you have to tip your hat to the hitter for making a great adjustment.
Snyder coming out right now, a little confusion as to the signs that they use now that there's a man at second base. With nobody on base or just a man on first or third, a catcher will just simply put one sign down. But there's a sequence now, and this is not a spot where you want to have any kind of confusion.
Peavy with a very clean line indeed against Mexico. Not so far in the first couple of innings here today, as you get a look at Marcel Lashman, United States pitching coach, used to be a manager here for the Angels. Ogasawara pulls it away. And it is ball 1 on the first baseman.
We talked earlier about how fundamentally sound the Japanese teams are. Manager Bruce Bochy, the San Diego Padres, managed the Major League Baseball All-Stars 2 years ago when he went over there, and he said they're fundamentally as good as any team anywhere. Sacrifice bunt was in order on that first pitch. Let's see what they look at now.
Bunting again, drops it down, fair ball. Schneider out from behind there, guns it on to first. That moves up. Fukudome and Iwamura both into scoring position now. And Japan continues to execute very well. And Sadahara Oh, the skipper for Japan, talked about this. He said you don't necessarily win because you're physically the strongest team on the field. You win because you have the best technique. That's the Japanese philosophy.
And take a look here. Look at how he softens that bunt. He didn't have to bunt it towards third base with Chipper Jones. He knew he was going to hit it off the end of the bat. He knew the catcher would have to come out and get it. He did his job. Now it's up to the number 8 guy.
And that is Tanishige, the catcher, batting out of the 8th spot with 2 men in scoring territory. And Japan already leading at 1-0. Peavy misses just outside for a ball.
Well, and this guy, he's a good power hitter, been around the game for almost 17 years, playing professionally in Japan. Not really noted for hitting for an average, has some good power, but this is a guy that Peavy needs to strike out in this situation.
In for a called strike. Sadahara quoted before the tournament saying, "I think we'll play a game that's respectful of all the nuances of baseball, that if performed properly lead to winning baseball in an elegant way." It's a lovely sentiment. And they're doing it here against Team USA in round 2. Across for a called strike on the check swing by Tanishige.
Well, I think that's reflective of the way Sadahara played the game and how he hit. I mean, he wasn't the biggest man, he wasn't the strongest man, but when you talked about technique, there was probably nobody better on the planet.
1 out and the 1-2 pitch. That just missed, according to Davidson. 97 miles an hour with that fastball. Buck Martinez wanted it to call strike and didn't get it.
It was really caught well, too, by Brian Snyder. Take a look at the knees, look at where he's at, and instead of taking that moving fastball on down, he held it right there in what clearly looked to be strike 3.
Runners leading at second and third. Waved down and missed, and that time Tanishige really helped out Jake Peavy. Made a nasty pitch on him to fan him, his first strikeout today.
Dave, when you got a guy throwing 97, Eric, you got to start that swing a little quicker than most, right?
Well, and he did a great job of setting up the hitter. He threw a fastball that ran back over the plate that Bob Davidson did not call for a strike. Then he started the next pitch on the outside part of the plate, but it was a slider. Broke away from the hitter. Hitter had no chance. Jake Peavy gets the strikeout.
So 2 down, the number 9 batter Kawasaki, the shortstop, hits it right through the hole for a single. Fukudome will come on in to score. Here comes Hiramura trying to score as well. He will. A 2-run single, and just like that, 3-0 Japan. Kawasaki cashes in with 2 down, stroking it through the other side. 2 RBIs, 3 zip.
I think he saw the same thing that happened with Hiramura. He looked to go to the opposite field. He knows that Peavy's going to get a lot of ground balls. The third baseman was in, respecting the speed of Kawasaki. He was able to get it by him and extend this lead to 3-0.
Well, it's just the hitters in Japan have noticed a pattern with Jake Peavy. Jake Peavy is throwing a lot of pitches away, whether it's a right-handed hitter or left-handed hitter. They have noticed that, and they've made the adjustment.
They're going to try to run now, I guarantee you that.
Here's Ichiro again. He homered to start this one, putting a jolt into Peavy and Team USA with a rocket shot to right field, a solo home run. One of the most decorated players on the planet, coming off another outstanding season with Seattle, even though for him a pedestrian batting average of just .303. And yet for the 5th consecutive season, and this is a major league record, over 200 hits for Ichiro Suzuki. He set the major league record for hits in a season back in 2004 with, and this is still absolutely amazing, 262 base hits.
Well, he can do it in so many different ways. We've seen the power. He had 15 home runs last year. We know he hits a lot of line drives, and then if the ball bounces 2 times, a lot of times too, Eric Harris, he will beat that out even if it's right at an infielder.
That's something he has that you can't teach, and that's speed. And he used to be known for bunting a lot, but he doesn't even bunt as often as he used to. Instead, just making contact and running.
Kawasaki, the man at first, one of the fastest men in Japan, in there for a strike on Ichiro. So a talented base stealer for Fukuoka for the Hawks.
You know, even here with 2 outs, you take a look at the shortstop and second base. With most people, they're back on the cut of the grass, but respecting the speed of Ichiro, they have to play up closer, which means their range is limited.
Kawasaki fakes that one, caught by Chipper Jones as he lunges to his left and steals a base hit from Ichiro. And Jake Peavy is finally out of the inning, but he gets roughed up for 2 runs, and it's 3-0 Japan. Japan jumping out in front of Team USA very quickly and rather surprisingly 3-0 here As Chipper Jones leads off the second inning, he'll be followed by Derek Lee and then Brian Schneider. The United States has only trailed once in the tournament and lost that game. That was to Canada by a final score of 8-6. And at one point in that game, the United States was down 8-0.
Well, you look at the scoreboard in the afternoon contest we got today, they're doing the same thing, scoring in every inning.
Chipper lets it go down low for a ball, the 1999 National League MVP. Now in Phoenix, he went deep on the very first pitch he saw in the tournament as he looks at a strike, and he actually predicted he was going to do this.
He did. He told Jeff Francoeur in the taxi on the way to the ballpark he was going to go deep in the 7th, and then he told the team as he went out there to hit he was going to.
Swinging a high fly ball very deep to right center field for Godome, backing up, turning around, it sails, it is gone, and he's done it again. Chipper Jones gets the United States on the board with a solo home run here in the second inning. Another launch for the Atlanta Braves star as he takes Uehara out of the ballpark.
You want to know why the Atlanta Braves have been in the playoffs the last 14 straight years? You're looking at the #1 reason. He's been there for all of them. He is there right now for Team USA.
And this is a guy that just has suffered from the stomach flu, dropped about 20 pounds, but this last week or so is showing great power.
Well, he went deep, as we just showed you, against Mexico. Derek Lee had the first home run of that game, also against Team Mexico. And he steps in and takes outside and low for a ball. The chants are beginning to rise up here in Anaheim a little bit. The chants of USA, USA. Lee, 46 home runs for the Cubs in the summer of 2005, but back to Chipper's cut.
Well, he just gets extension, and it's something that we've seen for the last 15 years with Chipper Jones. I mean, he has the sweetest swing from the left side, and when he gets extension, he can hit it out at any part of the ballpark.
Inside on Derek Lee, who belted his second home run in the World Baseball Classic in the win over South Africa. The Cubs star spent a lot of time in Japan as a youngster while his dad played professionally there, so he speaks quite a bit of Japanese. He had a terrific season in 2005 in any language, leading the majors in hitting at .335, leading the National League with 199 hits, and was second in home runs. Outside on Derek Lee, Brian Schneider to hit next for Team USA.
Yeah, his dad Leon had a lot of success over there for a lot of years. Actually was a scout for the Cubs in Korea and Japan, and was responsible for signing Aesop Choi, the outstanding power first baseman.
Uehara smacked foul. And the United States whipping South Africa 17-0 in a must-win situation to earn the second seed in Pool B. Now joining Japan and Korea. And of course Mexico here in what is now Pool 1. Team USA to face Korea tomorrow night, as that one is fouled away. Talking about Derek Lee and his own experience in Japan. For more on that, we bring in Duke Castiglione. Duke.
Well, OB, you were saying that Derek Lee's dad, Leon Lee, played over there. Well, Derek went to school in Japan for parts of the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th grade. He told me he used to go to BP with his dad. He actually learned, he said, to play baseball the Japanese way, not the American way.
You know, I wonder too if that would bear out with someone like Kobe Bryant, who went to Italy, where his dad was playing over there. Is there an Italian way to play basketball, a Japanese way of playing baseball? I think we're all very aware of what that looks like, with Ichiro and some of the other stars over the years in there for a called strike as it picked up the corner again, according to Davidson. But the Team USA stars not delighted with this umpire zone today.
Well, and the only thing you can ask of an umpire is to be consistent. Right now, Bob Davidson has called some pitches that have been a couple inches off of the plate. Then he's called some other pitches that, you know, they've been over the plate, but he doesn't call them a strike. You've got to have the consistency.
Although that looked like a terrific pitch by Uehara, as we saw in the replay. Here's Brian Schneider now, the Washington Nationals catcher.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also agree with Ike there that he has called some pitches that were balls actually strikes and vice versa. No consistency here in the early part for Bob Davidson.
Outside on Schneider. Vernon Wells would hit next here. 1 out, 3-1 Japan. And I think some of the crowd here, a pretty good crowd in Anaheim, are a little bit stunned by the early developments. It's trickled foul by Schneider. The fact that Japan came out with a home run power. Now, Rick, you pointed this out that there's legitimate power in the Japanese lineup, just not nearly as much as there is in the United States lineup. And Sadahara O felt that his team would not be in the same ballpark in terms of the power, but would probably play defensively better than the United States. Well, Japan has made the only error in the game, so they're kind of reversing roles.
It really has been. But you know, the one thing about it, you get confused with the Japanese type of baseball, their style. It used to be the small ball kind of thing. You'd hit and run, you'd bunt, you'd try to steal a base. That's not the case anymore. These guys are hitting more and more home runs. They're going to sit back now and try to hit the ball out of the park. And one thing I've seen, they swing at the 3-0 pitch a lot more than they used to.
Lace foul by Schneider. In the first round, Japan hit 5 home runs. And in fact, the mercy rule was invoked in 2 of the Japanese victories.
Well, Tamura, the third guy with 31 homers last year, 46 from the cleanup, and 28 for the next guy.
Ground ball toward the hole. Great diving play by Ogasawara. Feeds the pitcher for the out, and a terrific stop by Ogasawara to steal a base hit from Brian Schneider.
You know, I think that's the biggest thing that we have seen in this tournament is how athletic these teams are. Chipper with a great play to end the top of the second, and then take a look here at this play. I thought that was a base hit all the way, but you could see the quick first step, Eric. You played a lot of first base. That's a tough play.
Well, it really isn't. You talk about the athleticism, and what I find even more impressive, we're still 3 or 4 weeks away from the start of the season. These guys aren't even in full game speed shape yet.
Vernon Wells, the hitter here. He takes the first pitch for ball 1. So Ichiro Ogasawara, you see why he's won 5 Gold Gloves in Japan. Absolute theft there on what should have been a base hit.
I'll tell you what, too, and you're seeing why the game of baseball has gotten better. The reason is because the talent pool that we have to draw from has grown. Players coming from Japan and Korea, and as they have in the past, the Dominican, Venezuela, Puerto Rico.
Wells lays off, and that picks up the outside corner. You guys touched on this a moment ago. I think it's worth noting that guys like Ogasawara and Kawasaki and Tamura, they have been in spring training since February 1st. So they've been at it for over 6 weeks. That one line down a left field line for a base hit, maybe more for Wells. Tamura gets to it on the warning track. Play at second base will not be made, and he is in with a stand-up double. Vernon Wells with a 2-base hit, coming with 2 out here. The United States looking for more in the inning. Well, our aerial coverage is courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and its fleet of airships, reminding you to travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's Forterra tire featuring silent armor technology.
Boy, how big is that play now by Ogasawara? Not only did he get the sacrifice bunt down in the second inning that led to 2 more runs for Team Japan, but boy, by making that play, he took away a possible big inning.
Randy Wynn now, the 31-year-old switch hitter, with Vernon Wells getting his lead, and it's swatted at and missed for strike 1.
Eric, really impressed with Uehara out there, how he just continues to throw everything for strikes. The split finger, breaking balls, movement on that fastball, and usually down in the zone.
Well, and one of the reasons O chose Uehara to start this game against the Americans is because he does have great control. And he realized if you make mistakes against this American ball club, they're going to do what Chipper Jones did, put it in the seats. Uehara at great control, good forkball, has to keep the American hitters off balance.
Uehara too wants to come to the United States, but he is being blocked by his team in Japan as he pitches for the Yomiuri Giants. And he's been one of the top pitchers in Japan's Central League since a spectacular rookie year in 1999. That saw him win 20 games. 2 years ago, he pitched on Japan's Olympic team in the Athens games. And Rick, he's really Sadahara O's guys.
He really is. You know, he pitched well enough last year to win 20 games, but only had 9 victories. What you know about him is that he's going to give you a good effort every time out. You just don't always control the outcome.
Outside, missing on Wynn.
Look at that. I mean, he went right to the strikeout pitch that he got on Griffey Jr. If you can get a call without throwing a pitch over the plate, I mean, that's a huge feather in your hat, and that's what he tried to do on that last pitch.
The U.S. again getting in a hole in this one, down 3-0, now 3-1 thanks to the Chipper Jones home run. High fly ball yanked down the right field line, heading toward that foul pole and out of play. Ichiro over to give it a look.
How about the changing of speeds by Peavy?
Well, it's not only the changing of speed, keep the hitters off balance, but we just saw in the previous pitch, he went to the outside part of the plate, tried to get umpire Bob Davidson to give him that pitch. Next pitch comes inside with a breaking ball. So not only does he have the timing, but he's also the location is changing.
2-2 on Wynn. Reaches out, pops that one to center field. Fukudome right there to put it away, and the side is retired. So the United States finally gets on the scoreboard here on the home run by Chipper Jones. The Atlanta Braves star who hit 21 of them last season, but the U.S. needs some more. Still down 3-1 to Japan.
ESPN2's telecast of the World Baseball Classic, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
That's where Sutton Ike spent most of the morning, over at Disneyland at the Matterhorn. They can't get enough of it. Japan leading 3-1 over the United States here. Round 2 and Pool 1. Later on, it'll be Mexico and Korea. Nishioka dribbles that one softly to Young, up and over to Derek Lee for a quick out. Peavy could really use a fast inning. Ichiro Suzuki already with a home run in this one, and he told us just how big a win over Team USA, how big it would be for Japan.
想像ができないぐらい大きな喜びでしょうね。
It would be unimaginable if we were to win. I think I would be extremely excited. For I think everyone in Japan, especially obviously for Japanese baseball players, you know, Major League in America is really the most important stage. And to come onto that stage and win would be not only a historical moment, but a personal triumph.
その中心選手たちであるチームにもし
How about that? You think they don't want to win?
Yatoshi Tamura stings this one down the left field line. That's going to drop for a base hit. Wynn gets to it along the line, and Tamura will settle for a single with one out here in the third inning. So the hits keep falling in against Jake Peavy here into the third inning. He's now surrendered 5, including a home run to Ichiro, and a couple of runs and a big walk in the second inning.
Well, the biggest thing I've seen with him, after Ichiro hit the home run on that cut fastball in, he really hasn't done anything on the inner half of the plate since then. They're looking for the ball out over the plate. They're going to the opposite field with him, and that's where their successes come from.
Let's see if Sadahara gets aggressive here with a speed guy and Tamura at first base. That's across the outside corner for a strike on Matsunaka. We talked about his power. And this is a guy who back in 2004 won the Triple Crown in Japan, which Sadahara incidentally did twice. Swinging a high pop up to right field, very catchable. Wells is there. And Tamura back to first base, 2 down. Back to the first inning and how the game started, with Ichiro Suzuki leading things off for Japan against Jake Peavy.
You know, I think he's going to do more and more of this too, Eric Carroll. So he hit 15 home runs last year, and we know that the ballpark in Seattle is huge. This guy is capable of hitting 20 to 25, I believe, this year.
Well, he is capable of doing it. What he does by hitting that pitch and spinning on it forces the pitchers to go away, which is his strength.
Outside on Fukudome, and back home in Japan, Ichiro took a lot of heat for making the final out of their loss, their stunning loss to Korea.
Well, he did take a lot of heat, but a lot of it had to do with some of his comments. He said before they played Korea that Japan baseball, with a win, we could show that we're 30 years ahead of some of the other Asian countries. And, you know, the context in which it was said was probably not malicious, but the other Asian teams recognized that.
In for a call strike.
And they took it upon themselves to, hey, look, we're going to go out and show Ichiro that we can play. Korea ends up beating Japan.
Well, you know, it was also a pretty good pitcher that he popped up on. I mean, Chan-Ho Park had 2 saves as the closer for Team Korea.
First time he's done that. Fukudome gets into this, pops it up foul territory. Chipper Jones. And front of the coach's box, makes the catch. Side retired, no runs ahead, 1 man left for Japan. Big bats due up here for Team USA, down 3-1. Welcome back to the World Baseball Classic, presented by Taco Bell. And this afternoon from Southern California and Angel Stadium in Anaheim, it'll be Michael Young, Derek Jeter, and Ken Griffey Jr. batting 1, 2, 3 here in the 3rd inning, with the United States trailing Japan 3-1. But some heavy lumber up here for the United States against Koji Uehara. And the right-hander's pitch is in there for strike. Young, first time up, reached on an error by Nishioka, the second baseman. Derek Jeter then dropped down a bunt, but nothing came of that because later Alex Rodriguez would hit into a double play to end the inning. A little check swing and a foul ball at the plate.
Uehara doing such a great job getting ahead of the hitters. Team USA most of them have not seen him before, and he's coming right in with strike 1. Really, the only guy I can remember that he fell behind on was Chipper. He went to 3-0. Chipper took the 3-1 pitch, and of course on the next pitch he took it out of the ballpark.
Well, and what's also important about that, we have a pitch count. Get ahead of the hitters early, limit the pitch count.
Into the dirt for a ball against Michael Young, who had the most hits of anyone in the majors in 2005, 221. His 3rd straight season of 200 hits.
I'll tell you, I can't get over how strong he is. You know, watching him play from afar and shaking his hand, getting to know him. Watching him take BP over the last week, he is Superman kind of strong.
The 1-2 from Uehara, and it's down and in for a ball.
When you talk about his physical ability, his makeup, his character is even better than his physical ability, and that's why you root for a guy like this. You talk to his teammates, you talk to players that have played against him.
That I'll show you attitude, huh? Yep.
The 2-2. Line drive and a base hit the other way. It'll be a single for Michael Young. And a good start in the 3rd inning for the United States to get the leadoff man on for the 3rd consecutive inning.
You know, he fell behind in the count. He hit this ball like a rocket right between the 1st and 2nd baseman. But he can't. I know a lot of guys are slipping, trying to get out of the box. From where we're at, it looks like with all the rain they've gotten here, it's still real moist right there in front of home plate.
Well, what happens, not only is it moist, but the grounds crew will come in, add dirt to try and eliminate that moisture. It becomes muddy, and it's not as good for traction.
Here's Derek Jeter, bunt single, first time up. And he takes low for ball 1.
You can see him there with his hand as he took that pitch. A lot of times with the hitters, you can tell how they're seeing the baseball and swinging by how they take a pitch. He was out in front. He didn't swing the bat, but he was reminding himself, you've got to stay back if you're going to hit those off-speed pitches.
Well, as a pitcher, when you see a hitter do that, does that alter your game plan? I mean, how you're going to go after him?
I figure, EK, that he's going to make an adjustment. He's going to try to stay back, so I might try to run something in on his hands right here. We'll see what Uehara thinks about it.
Young with a short lead at first base. Nobody out, 3-1 Japan. Ground ball, another double play ball. Kawasaki to Nishioka and on to Agasawara for the 2nd twin killing of the ball game for Japan.
He did, and he went just right back to that off-speed pitch in an outstanding location. It's a little slider. Look at the glove. Look at where the ball ends up, and you take a look at it. It goes from what would have been in the catcher's glove to the shortstop to the 2nd base to the 1st baseman. That is an outstanding pitch.
Well, it really is, and we talk about this Japan club being very fundamental, make all the routine plays. This is their 2nd double play so far.
So Griffey hits with the bases empty, loops that one into right field. That'll settle down for a base hit. Yet another ill-timed double play grounder from Team USA as Griffey comes up with a base hit moments later.
I think that's what they've got to do right now is what Griffey Jr. does right here. He's aggressive on that first pitch, figuring that it's going to be in the strike zone. He just went down and got it. You're not really seeing a lot of fastballs thus far in the game. Look for something off speed, and if it's in the strike zone, they're being more aggressive.
Well, and as a hitter, you know Uehara is going to be around the plate, so you can be a bit more aggressive.
Alex Rodriguez trying to salvage the inning, rips this one into left field. Tamura will pull up on it as it drops in front of him for a base hit. 2 on and 2 out. The U.S. trying to rally here with 2 down in the 3rd inning. And here comes Chipper Jones again.
Well, it's just as you noted, Rick. They've got to be aggressive with the last 2 hitters. What have they hit? first pitches from Uehara.
And at this level right here, David, so much about playing the game from the neck down. From the neck down, the talent is so equal that you have to just outthink the next guy. And that's what everybody on the mound's talking about right now. Okay, we were going to be aggressive with the first pitch for a strike. Well, you know what? Here we go. It's the second time around. They have adjusted to swinging at that pitch. Now Uehara has got to make an adjustment on his own part, or what happened to Chipper the last time may happen again.
Chipper Jones with his second home run of the Classic. And batting again here with a chance to do some big damage. Runners at first and second, 2 down. And he takes a strike.
See, that pitch shocks me right there, and I think it probably shocked Chipper as well. Uehara has given up base hits on the first 2 pitches. You think, okay, maybe he'll throw something off the plate. He throws that one right down the middle.
It was his best fastball.
Backs away, and it's inside under the arms of Chipper Jones.
Talking with Michael Young, who played with the All-Star team over in Japan a couple years ago, he says when they come in like on an 0-2 pitch, he said they don't really move you off the plate. They're constantly trying to go from corner to corner.
The 1-1 from Uehara. And it's right through the legs of the catcher all the way to the backstop. And the runners will advance to first and second. Tanashige could not slow it down. It will be a wild pitch. And right through the wicket.
Well, it changes things now. Instead of Chipper having to hit a home run to tie this ball game up or get the lead, now all he's got to do is get a base hit. And that was surprisingly not a good play there on the part of the catcher. I mean, that ball could have been blocked. He just didn't get his glove and his body down quick enough.
So we'll see if the inability of Tanashige to keep that one in front of him hurts here. Chipper Jones can tie it with a base hit. High chop first base. Ogasawara, an easy stop for him, and the side is retired. The United States threatening in every inning, but Sadahara O's team has held to 1 run. Buck Martinez will be hearing from the United States manager shortly. His team down 3-1 to Japan, each side with 5 hits. And one of the hits for Japan from Akinori Iwamura, the third baseman, who gets in and takes outside for a ball from Jake Peavy. So Iwamura is 1 for 1, scored a run in the second inning. Japan got on the board first on a solo home run to start the afternoon off the bat of Ichiro Suzuki. We talked about this as we came on the air, Eric. Today, there can't be more pressure on any one star in this tournament. That one rolls foul into the glove of Derek Lee, as there is on Ichiro Suzuki in Japan to play his team into the finals in San Diego.
Well, really, when you talk about Japan baseball, even though Ichiro plays in the States now, he is Japan baseball. And with him going back representing Japan, some of the other stars, Hideki Matsui, electing not to play for Team Japan, really, it rests on Ichiro's shoulders.
Iwamura back toward the mound. Peavy snatches it. Underhand flip for out number 1. We're talking about Ichiro, and we discussed the great Japanese star with another great Japanese star, the manager Sadahara O. He talks about what makes Ichiro such a special player.
First of all, he loved baseball. He loved the game of baseball. And also, he always wants to improve. He never gives up improving. And at the same time, he has a great physique. He has such a great stamina to last the entire season of long and durable, tough schedule of Major League Baseball. And also, he has great visibility on the balls. He can recognize the ball very well, and also at the same time, his hands are just remarkable. He can react to any pitches.
He truly is incredibly, not only physically gifted, but mentally prepared every time he takes the field. And I just absolutely love watching him before a game.
Ogasawara gets under this one, lifts it a mile in the air to Wells and right, but it does not carry. And that is out number 2.
you know, just to finish that thought, Dave, we know what he can do once the game starts. But if you watch him before a game, starting out in batting practice, he'll go to the opposite field, he'll hit some homers, and then he goes back to the opposite field. Then he goes to the outfield. He takes fly balls, and he makes great throws to second and third. And then after that's where it gets fun. He starts to relax. He'll catch fly balls behind his back. He'll catch them between his legs. I've seen a lot of the other Seattle Mariner players try to do that, and a couple of times they've ended up in the trainer's room. I mean, he's just amazing with his.
He does have fun, and I mean, you know, typically what we think of with Japanese players is a certain stoicism, you know, the inability to kind of cut loose and enjoy things. That's not Ichiro's style when we watch him in pre-game and after games. He's actually funny as heck. He has a wonderful sense of humor. But in games, you know, he is, I think, a traditional Japanese player. There's not a whole lot of emotion there. He controls himself. He contains himself. But in pre-games, he's a blast to watch in batting practice.
Well, he is. You know, it's funny. Prior to today's game, he came up to me and says, "Oh, what are you doing? Are you going to announce the game?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to do some work up there." He says, "Oh, so what are you going to do? Talk a bunch about me?" You know. And again, you don't. The perception is stoic, doesn't have a lot of personality, but a great guy.
Tanishige struck out his first time up as he takes outside for a ball. 3-2 the count. Kawasaki will hit next. Japan on top 3-1 in the fourth inning. The United States, for the second time in the tournament, this World Baseball Classic, is trailing in a game. In there for called strike 3 as Tanishige strikes out for the second time against Jake Peavy. The U.S. down 2 as we go to the home half of the fourth. Bottom of the fourth inning, United States has threatened each of the first 3 innings, scored only one time on a home run by Chipper Jones. We had a camera on Jake Peavy as he came off after the strikeout set, and what's he talking about with Marcel Latchman?
Well, he's shaking his head. He goes right to the pitching coach and he said, I can't figure this strike zone out right now. He said, my breaking ball's starting to come around there, but he says.
Derek Lee pops this one up into short left field. Kawasaki waits beneath it and makes the catch for the out. Back to Peavy.
Yeah, he's talking about how his breaking ball. He said it's crossing the plate in the strike zone. I feel like I should get that call, but when I don't, I've got to come back with something, you know, that's straight. He said he's just a little inconsistent right now. He's having trouble with that strike zone, and some of, you know, Team USA hitters have had the same problem.
In the United States with 6 hits, Peavy has surrendered 5 to Japan, and here's Brian Schneider. He's 0 for 1. Although he had a hit stolen from Ogasawara, the terrific first baseman for Team Japan.
I think that's a play of the game right now because Vernon Wells followed that with a double. That could have been a big inning. And instead, it was just the 1 run from Chipper's homer.
Well, and it's as you mentioned.
He serves that one to Nishioka. To Ogasawara for the out. 2 fast ones here in the fourth inning.
With Ogasawara, the first baseman, not only making that great defensive play, but also the sacrifice bunt earlier in the game. And you talk about impacting your ball club. In the box score, it's not going to show up. You won't see home runs, RBIs, but he has played as big a role as anybody on the field today in Japan's success.
You look at the box score, he's 0 for 1.
Vernon Wells with a double his first time up, although nothing came of that as Randy Wynn flied out to end the second inning.
We talked about that Major League Baseball All-Star Tour that went to Japan after the 0-4 season. Vernon Wells was the MVP for Team USA.
Popped up off the end of the bat, short right. Ichiro is there, and the side is retired. Just 5 pitches there. Buck Martinez can't be pleased with that, but we'll talk with the USA skipper when we come back to Anaheim. Ready for the top of the 5th. Japan on top 3-1. Delighted to have Buck Martinez, the USA skipper, with us. And Buck, you talked about this before the game, how fundamentally sound you knew Japan was going to be. I'm sure nothing about today's game so far has surprised you.
No, it sure hasn't, Dave. And we know what a great hitter Ichiro is. And Jake got that ball and ran back out over the plate. And Ichiro was able to get to it. But we've all seen him for years now. We know what a great hitter he is.
Buck, back in 1971, you got to play against Sadiharu Oh. Tell us about that.
At that time, it was spring training, but he was on the Tokyo Giants to the point where he was in the prime of his career, and we could see what a great player he was, and certainly a class act, the all-time home run leader, and he continues to be an outstanding gentleman.
Buck, how do you balance the desire to win against the responsibility to get these guys at bats?
Well, you know what, Eric, at this point, I think everybody understands we're here to win right now. We're not concerned about at bats, innings, or anything like that. We're just here to win at this point.
Buck, thanks so much.
All right, fellas.
Good luck the rest of the way. Buck Martinez, our skipper.
You know, David, Ike and I talked to a lot of the players that aren't in the lineup for Team USA today, and to a man, each one of them responded with that same sentiment. You know what? It's all about winning right now, and whatever it takes to win, whatever lineup the manager comes up with, that's where we'll go.
Kawasaki batting for the second time, and the first time up ripped a 2-run single. He flies this one to left center, sending Ken Griffey Jr. a shade or two to his right, make the catch. One man out in the fifth. Ichiro coming up next. We're talking fundamentals, and Japanese defense on display here today.
Well, they've turned 2 double plays, and both in big situations. Ogasawara making a great play at first base. And it's ironic because the way they started the game, Michael Young gets on by an error by the second baseman. But since then, Japanese defense flawless.
You know, and to turn those double plays, you got to have somebody making pitches to get ground balls. Uehara has been outstanding.
Ichiro with a home run and also a line drive to the third baseman Chipper Jones that he snagged, preventing at least a base hit, maybe a double. Base is empty here and 1 out, but Japan still leading it 3-1 here in round 2 of the World Baseball Classic. Also a round robin format, just like round 1, so it's not a 1-game elimination. Line to right field. Wells coming in right at him for the second out. Ichiro not noted for big power, of course. Instead, all of those base hits over the years with Seattle, but he launched one in the first inning.
Well, it was a ball that was up. It was middle in, and he just simply put the head of the bat on it and ended up going a long ways away. Look at the excitement there and almost disbelief that they had the lead.
So Yoshi Nishioka will bat now. He has singled and grounded out. We mentioned that he played for Bobby Valentine and Chiba Lotte Marines in the Pacific League.
You're talking about the champions there, bud.
They went all the way, and as you and I were talking about before the game, Sud, and you of course are a legendary Chicago Cub in your own right, and you know about that whole philosophy of, you know, maybe next year, maybe next year, maybe next year. Well, that's the way it was.
Well, it was. Chiba was kind of like that team, the Cubs that hadn't won in forever, and that was a big part of the reason they wanted Bobby Valentine there, to give him a shot. And they're well represented here with Team Japan. They got 5 pitchers from that team a year ago, several position players, and it's easy to see why they won.
Giving even more hope to Cub fans this year, right?
Slice foul by Nishioka.
Come on, with Boston and the White Sox, I mean, that possession arrow is pointing directly at Wrigley Field.
Peavy working into his 5th inning. And looking to make it a second consecutive 1-2-3 inning. He got them in order in the 4th. On a ground ball, a fly out, and a strikeout.
You got to figure that this would be the last inning for Jake. He struggled early. They worked him. They got men on base in both the first and second innings.
The looper toward left, but that's going to settle foul on a play.
Well, that's a good pitch right there by Jake Peavy, and the hitter in that situation just fighting it off. And I know as a pitcher, that's got to just frustrate the heck out of you.
It really does, because you know as well as they do where your pitch count is at. And I would imagine somebody in that Team Japan dugout said, hey boys, I don't care if we score or not, but let's run up about 15 to 20 pitches and get rid of this guy.
Another one spoiled by Nishioka. Scott Shields, who pitches for the Angels in this very ballpark, getting ready in the bullpen. As Peavy is now up and over 65 pitches, which was the first round limit. It's 80 here in the second round.
You get a little nervous too as far as Peavy's concerned. He only threw 23 the first time out, so this is a big difference.
Swung on and missed. Nasty pitch at 92 to strike out Nishioka. 1-2-3 they go. When we come back, we'll talk about Sadahara Oh, the Japanese manager in his glorious career as a player. Japan in the lead 3-1. Part of that a home run by Ichiro Suzuki, and the man whose name is synonymous with the home run ball in Japan is the manager, Sadahara Oh, with an incredible 868. Has never worn his country's uniform in international competition, not in an Olympics, not in any format like this until now at the age of 65. And the manager told us about the unusual Flamingo-style batting stance that he employed as a player.
Like in my playing days, I wasn't really a huge guy. I was probably just above the average in physical size. So I didn't really have that much power, so that I needed to develop the real good technique to drive the ball as long as possible. And I thought hitting would be just as the same as pitching. If you're a left-handed hitter, you really have to start with your weight on your left leg and shift the weight to your right leg and then rotate your body. And that's the same in left-handed pitchers pitching. So I developed the technique from the pitcher's technique as well.
Smart man.
I mean, absolutely fascinating stuff. His family name, by the way, O, means king. That's the translation for baseball's all-time home run king. As Randy Wynn jumps on this one, flies it into right center field. Fukudome is there for the catch. A little bit of sunshine breaking through the clouds for a change. 3-1, Japan in the lead.
You know, Dave, I was talking with manager Bruce Bochy, who managed Team USA against Saudi Haro, and you look at the enthusiasm, you look at the excitement that he's got, and the first thing that Coach said was the fact that what an amazing gentleman Saudi Haro is. And when you think about all he's accomplished and everything that he's done, he just couldn't get over what a great human being.
Well, he liked that little pop up there by Wynn. One man out. Here's Michael Young, who has reached twice on an error and a single. 2 out of 8 so far in the Classic. Sadahara 15 times in his career, was the home run champion, including 13 in a row, which is just staggering to think about. Ichiro to the corner, but that one's going to sail foul. He hit plenty of home runs in goodwill games against major leaguers. And he says they used to joke about that they were going to steal him and take him back to the United States and play. This was at the peak of Sadahara's career. And he admits that, yes, he is very jealous of Ichiro and Hideki Matsui. Very proud of what they have done in the United States in becoming stars, but envious nonetheless.
Well, and that's only natural. I'm sure he would have liked to have seen what he could have done in his prime against major league caliber players in in-season competition. But at that time, it was impossible. It wasn't even thinkable.
In tight on Michael Young, and a count 3 balls, 1 strike.
I mean, being a national hero, he couldn't leave Japan. It wasn't really until Hideo Nomo came over in the mid-90s with the Los Angeles Dodgers that set the tone and allowed other Japanese players to come over here and be successful.
Line right, base hit, second one into the scorebook today for Michael Young to make him 2 for 3. This one coming with 1 out in the 5th inning. World Baseball Classic coverage continues tonight with a doubleheader of action on ESPN2 at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. Bernie Williams in Puerto Rico take on Albert Pujols and the Dominican Republic from San Juan. Then back here in Anaheim at 11 o'clock Eastern time, Mexico and Korea go head-to-head. All 39 games of the World Baseball Classic are available in Spanish on ESPN Deportes. Derek Jeter now, as the United States tries to get something going in the 5th. Down 3-1 to Japan here in round 2. That one catches the corner for a strike.
Well, Derek Jeter being at the plate, this is a good situation to maybe put on the hit run to make something happen. He has great control with the bat. The pitcher, Uehara, is around the plate. Good speed with Michael Young at first base.
Down low for a ball. Only 4 big leaguers on the face of the earth had over 200 hits last season. All 4 of them are available to play in this game today between the U.S. and Japan. Think about that. Derek Jeter, Michael Young, Ichiro Suzuki. Of course, he did it for Seattle again last year. And Japan also has a 24-year-old star who did it. Ground ball to third. Another stop by Iwamura. Into second, 1 on the first. Not in time for the double play. But Iwamura stealing a base hit from Derek Jeter with a great stab to his left.
We've talked about fundamentally sound. How about just flat out athletic? That's what we're seeing now. great defensive plays at the corners, but normally you have offensive type guys. This is a base hit out into left field. This is first and second, one out, and King Griffey Jr. at home plate. Oh no, wait a minute. It was almost an inning double play.
Akinura Iwamura with a tremendous play. We saw Ogasawara with a terrific play himself at first base. So both corner men have been outstanding. And here's Ken Griffey Jr. taking a strike.
Well, what also needs to be noted, the Japanese are used to playing a lot of their games on AstroTurf, where it is a bit quicker. Most of their stadiums are either skin infields, which means all dirt, or they're playing on AstroTurf, which makes things quicker. So this actually may slow the ball down a bit.
Jeter becoming the runner at first base, but with 2 away. And Japan has not only made spectacular plays on each side of the diamond on the infield, but also turned a couple of outstanding double plays to shut down the rallies of the United States. Japan up 3-1, and Griffey off the end of the bat loops out to the left center field. Kawasaki over the shoulder. How about that play? As he went sliding into the outfield down on his knees. And the outstanding plays just keep on coming for Team Japan here. On the defensive side, nothing short of spectacular.
ESPN2's telecast of the World Baseball Classic, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by MLB 06 The Show, now available on PlayStation 2 and PlayStation Portable.
A little bit of gloom surrounding the San Bernardino mountain range there, with Japan on top of the United States 3-1. That describes the psychological state of Team USA right now, down by 2 and at the moment being totally outplayed by Japan. Tamura takes a strike. A new pitcher on the hill here for the United States. That's Scott Shields.
Well, that's just a familiar sight. Take a look at that. 78 games last year for the Angels, who play their home games right here.
So Jake Peavy done after 5 innings. He gives up 3 runs, 5 hits. And at the moment would be the losing pitcher if it ends like this. 3-1 Japan. Across the outside edge for a called strike on Tamura, who's hit into a double play and also singled. Pretty good power, 31 home runs for him last year as he tried to check his swing. The appeal, and he did check. Tamura for the Yokohama Bay Stars, right-hand hitter.
Different angle, he kind of dropped down on that breaking ball. Nice job of holding up. Fastball in there, he's caught looking for strike 3, and he knew it. Shields fans his first man here in the 6th inning. Our aerial coverage is courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and its fleet of airships, reminding you to travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's Fonterra tire, featuring silent armor technology. Rick Sutcliffe, Eric Harris, Dave O'Brien, and Duke Castiglione with you from Anaheim, California. Doesn't look very much like California with the weather situation. A lot of rain out here in recent days and weeks, and it was 51 degrees when we started.
When I thought with this weather today, as we talked about it last night, Dave, didn't think there'd be a lot of home runs. The air would be heavy. Ball wouldn't carry, and today we've got 2.
Yeah, right away, Ichiro with a home run to start the game, and Chipper Jones with a long fly ball to right center field for a home run as well. Up top on Matsunaka, who's gone 0 for 2 so far today, Duke Castiglione.
Yes, Matsunaka, big star in Japan 2 years ago. He won the Triple Crown. Last year he hit 46 home runs, and he signed a reported 7-year deal with his home team, the Lions, back in Japan, worth 4 billion yen. And if you're wondering how much that is, about $33 million.
Wow. Although, you know, with the billion, it sounded a little more impressive.
That does sound good, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's a lot of yen.
You talk about him winning the Triple Crown 2 years ago. Last year, an extra 7 points on his batting average, he would have had his 2nd consecutive Triple Crown.
He hit .315, little inside out swing, fouls it away, but 46 home runs. And twice has been a Triple Crown winner in Japan. He also batted cleanup for the silver medalists at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. It is done for Fukuoka, which is in the south of Japan. 46 homers, 121 runs batted in a much shorter season. Step Stings that one in the left center field toward the alley. Griffey Jr. on the move. He'll get there and track it down for the catch. 2 down. And Kosuke Fukudome will hit next out of the 5 spot. The center fielder who is really entertaining us with his outstanding throwing arm. Watching him in batting practice today, he can get it in there. So between Fukudome in center field and Ichiro Suzuki in right field, they've got it covered.
Not only with their arm strength, but also with the speed that they have out there. There aren't many balls that are going to land in those gaps.
2 down, bases empty for Japan. A 3-1 lead over Team USA here in the 6th inning. And due up for the United States in the bottom of this inning. It'll be Alex Rodriguez, Chipper Jones, and Derek Lee trying to make some noise.
I'll tell you what, how good is it to see Ken Griffey Jr. running well again. A nice job there as he closed the gap on what could have been an extra base hit. Had that hamstring completely torn just a year ago. Came back and was the comeback player of the year last year in the National League, and looks to have a big year this year.
Ground ball, nice backhand stab by Jeter quickly. On to Derek Lee for the out. 1, 2, 3 they go for the 3rd consecutive inning. So the pitching is holding up here in the middle innings for Team USA. We'll see what Chipper is up to. He's already homered today when we come back. Back in Anaheim, and a big part of the United States lineup, A-Rod, Chipper Jones, and Derek Lee to attack a new Japanese pitcher. And the right-hander Shimizu comes out of the bullpen on in relief. And you know what, in Japan, this is a big issue what's happening here in the World Baseball Classic, Rick Sutcliffe. They don't like the idea of these low pitch counts, 85 here in the 2nd round. And not really pleased with that at all, because Japanese pitchers at this point in their spring training are used to going far deeper than that.
Yeah, you think they wouldn't want to run Uehara back out there again to pitch? At 75 pitches, though, they had to make the decision. And this was by design here. Shimizu was planning on coming in. The left-hander Fujita will follow him. And then with the lead, Akinori Otsuka would be their closer today.
A-Rod with a cut and a miss in this contest. He's hit into a double play and single.
Well, the big thing I noticed is Sakahara set up his rotation for the game today. He wanted guys that throw strikes, that don't walk anybody, and you can see how important they can catch it out there.
Uehara went the first 5 innings. He surrendered just 1 run on 7 hits. But, you know, on the 5th day of the Japanese spring training, which got underway on February 1st, he had already thrown as many as 111 pitches in a bullpen session. So they are not fond of this rule at all. They feel like here now 6-7 weeks into spring training, their pitchers can go all day.
Well, you and I talked in round 1. I mean, this like anything else. I mean, the first time around, it's a great concept. There's no question it's here to stay. But there are some things that will have to be tweaked, and those problems will be solved before they play this thing again.
Shimizu delivers, and it's down low for a ball. We talked about Gibalote and the Marines of Bobby Valentine. Well, this young man on the hill is one of his key pitchers, leading them to the championship. In there for call strike 3, and A-Rod will take a seat. Quick at bat for Alex Rodriguez as we look at our Taco Bell pitching summary for the day.
Well, the thing that jumps out at me is the fact he gave up 7 hits. You would think he would have given up more runs, but EK, look at that. He didn't walk anybody.
Well, he didn't walk anybody, and he had the benefit of 2 double play balls and some great defense outside of the double play balls. And as you know, as a pitcher, defense is your best friend.
Chipper Jones with a home run in the 2nd inning, and that's all that Buck Martinez has had to cheer about so far today. As far as the run column, he's also grounded out to first base.
Look at the balance on his back leg for Shimizu. Look at that. That is what Sajihara was talking about. What he had to do to generate power as a hitter. He's not a real big guy. Take a look at that. Look at the balance, and EK, the strength that it takes to stay on top of that back leg, gather yourself, and then deliver a pitch.
Big swing and a miss by Chipper up there on the left side.
I'll tell you another thing. What does that do for a hitter when he hesitates like that?
Well, there is a pause, but you become after you see him a couple times, you take that out of your rhythm as a hitter. The thing that I find most fascinating about all this, it looks difficult to you, it looks difficult to me, but this is something that these Japanese players have been doing from day one. They would think that it was unnatural if they went another way.
Shimizu, by the way, has just been warned, and so has Sadahara O, as far as going to his mouth on the mound, which is not being allowed.
Why not? I think both pitching staff should be allowed to do that. They're going to go to their mouth to get some moisture on their hands so that they can grip the baseball. And by not letting them do it on the mound, you're just going to take more time because they're going to walk off the mound and do it anyway.
Bob Davidson explaining that, the warning. And Chipper Jones lets that one go for a call, strike in the outside corner, 3-2. Derek Lee up next. The United States being stifled here today so far by Japan, down 3-1 in the home half of the 6th inning. Inside for ball 4. And that's the first time Japan has walked the United States hitter today. Chipper Jones is on.
There's no question that these Japanese pitchers have great control, and they throw a lot of strikes. But the most important thing is that they don't leave balls over the middle of the plate. That was Sadahara-O's biggest concern, not to leave balls over the middle of the plate where the Americans could hit home runs.
It looks like something may be wrong there, Shimizu. They made one change with their roster on their pitching staff going into this series as opposed to the first one. Their closer, Ishii, his shoulder was sore, and he was taken off the roster. We're going to go out there and check right now to see if he's okay.
They said that would not be an official visit, although it is interesting that Sadahara-O himself did not come out, which is typical among major league managers when it's an injury visit. Coverage of the World Baseball Classic presented by Taco Bell continues tomorrow, a triple header. At 2 Eastern on ESPN, Cuba takes on the Dominican Republic. At 8 o'clock on ESPN, Venezuela meeting Puerto Rico. Then right here in Anaheim at 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Deportes, the United States takes on Korea. Here's Derek Lee now. That's down and away for a ball, and on the day, the big Cub first baseman has struck out looking and also popped out to short.
You feel a little bit easier to hit right now. You can't have that hesitation on the back leg because of the runner at first base.
Right-hander Yabuta is warming up in the bullpen for Japan. So Sadahara-O is starting to get the wheels turning a little bit after the walk to Chipper Jones, and now the count goes to 3-0 on Derek Lee.
Well, although Japan throughout this game has played a better baseball game up to this point, the United States just one swing away from tying this ball game up.
Big swing and a miss as he cut loose on 3-0, and he thought he had that swing to tie.
I think he fooled everybody. The last pitch before this was at 88 miles an hour. He reached back, kicked it into another gear, and just flat blew that fastball by Derek Lee at 92.
Well, and you have to give the pitcher credit for thinking Derek Lee might be swinging in this situation and might not just lay it over the plate.
There's a swing and a drive, shot well to left center field, sailing back, and gone! Derek Lee ties it with that one swing. It's 3-3 in the 6th inning. His 3rd home run in the World Baseball Classic.
Well, this time Lee gets it. The last pitch was away, 3-0. He went after it. This time Shimizu tried to sneak one middle to the inner half of the plate. He didn't get it inside. Derek Lee pulled his hands inside the ball, drove the ball over the wall. And this is something that Sadahara-O was concerned about, the power of the American ball club. He figured to counter that by having pitchers that had good control and wouldn't leave the ball over the plate.
And you know what, for all those critics that said this thing was going to be more like an all-star game, I want them to take a look at Team USA's dugout when that ball went out of the park. You got Red Sox and Yankees hugging each other. You got Dodgers and Giants getting along. This thing is far from being an all-star game. This is a team and a country on both sides well represented.
Here's Brian Schneider now from the Washington Nationals, 0 for 2 today with a couple of ground outs. 2nd home run of the day for Team USA. Chipper Jones had the first one in the 2nd inning.
Well, and you have to wonder those 2 trips to the mound this inning to discuss the going to the mouth and the licking of the fingers of Shimizu, if it may have affected it.
Little topper on the infield. Ogasawara will feed the pitcher. Shimizu over there in plenty of time for the second out. 2 gone.
Well, in this situation, Lee's looking for one thing, and that's to drive the ball out of the ballpark. This pitch is down and in, and for a right-handed hitter, that can be deadly because you just drop the head of the bat onto the ball, and it will go a long way.
A fired-up Derek Lee as he rounded the bases. So you're talking about that dugout celebration. It really came alive for the first time today. Well, that one went sailing over the fence in left center. Here's Vernon Wells now. He strikes the base hit to center field. His second hit of the day.
I'll never forget in the exhibition game by Team USA against the Giants over in Scottsdale. Chipper Jones hit that home run, and he told us after the inning, he says, I don't care if I don't get another hit. Obviously, he's gotten a lot more since then. He said, to hit a home run with USA across my chest, round the bases, and have Ken Griffey Jr. waiting on me to high five, he said, you know what, it was all worthwhile right then and there.
Randy Wynn here. He is flying out to center twice. Wells on at first base, the Toronto Blue Jay star. Japan 3 and now the United States 3. We're in a tie ball game in the 6th inning. Rick Sutcliffe, Eric Karras, Dave O'Brien, and Duke Castiglione with you from Anaheim, California. One yank foul by Randy Wynn.
You know, Chipper last year, because of injuries, only able to play in just over 100 games. Well, he's healthy now. Take a look here. Look at that's the home run against Mexico that gave them the 2-0 lead, and that was a big hit because now you had the 2-0 lead. One mistake was not going to beat you, and after Jake Peavy, it was closer, and it was a win for Team USA.
Very big in particular the way Team Mexico has been pitching. A terrific first round on the mound for Mexico.
Oh, and how about Horizon, what he did against Canada in that game that each team had to win. I thought he was going to go 9 that night.
More bullpen activity now for Japan as they had to take out Uehara, the outstanding starter, the right-hander, went 5 innings allowing just the 1 run. Little bounding ball to Iwamura and on to first base to retire the side. But the United States has tied it thanks to Derek Lee, and another home run for him in the World Baseball Classic. That 2-run shot has knotted the score at 3 with Japan. All tied up here, the United States 3 and Japan 3 as we get ready for the top half of the 7th inning. That is Trey Griffey and Grandpa Ken Griffey Sr., father of the future Hall of Famer, and maybe, who knows, grandpappy to a future Hall of Famer as well. Junior patrolling center field here for the United States, all even up with Japan, having out-hit Japan so far 9-5. Akinori Iwamura, who has singled and grounded out, leading off here against the new pitcher for the United States, the right-hander Todd Jones, who had such an outstanding season last year for the Florida Marlins.
40 saves and 45 attempts.
210 earned run average as well for the veteran right-hander.
You know, he's kind of one of those guys that, you know, a couple of years ago people thought, well, maybe he's done, getting a little bit older, and then all of a sudden last year was the best year of his career.
A late cut by Iwamura there as he came up empty.
Well, he's always had the arm strength, a good fastball, and an excellent breaking pitch. And, you know, he's a tough guy to face, but for some reason he'd give up hits, he'd get to him. But last year everything fell together just as it did early in his career, and he became one of the most established closers in the game.
The looper toward left, that's going to settle down along the line. Fair ball as Wynn gets to it. It'll be a long single for Iwamura. He is on leading off the 7th inning for Japan.
Let's go back. Sometime in September, the 14th, 1990, Griffey Jr. and Sr. Harold Reynolds, ESPN's own, on base. Griffey Sr. Now watch where this ball lands. Take a look at this. I mean, that ball went over the 400-foot sign. Why do you want to watch that? Because here is Griffey Jr. barely clearing the wall in left center field. Why is that important? Senior bragging about how much further his ball went than that of Junior's before the game today.
Was that you pitching, Sut?
I want to see Trey swing the bat. That's the kid I want to see.
There's some pretty good genes there.
Yes, sir. A leadoff single here in the 7th inning that ends a streak of 11 consecutive batters retired by Team USA. Ogasawara with a big swing and a foul back. Fuentes, the left-hander. We saw him pitch a little bit against Mexico in game number 1.
Well, it's really, you know, with Al Leiter being a starting pitcher for the most part, and Billy Wagner not being with Team USA, you'd love to have 3 or 4 left-handed pitchers against all of the left-handed hitters for Team Japan.
Iwamura getting his lead, fouled away by Ogasawara.
Different strategy right here. I thought maybe to begin with that Ogasawara might be sacrificing the game in this situation, as he did. It led to a couple of runs in the 2nd inning. No sacrifice, more aggressive managing here on the part of Sakuhara, letting him swing.
Jones fires a breaking ball and around the outside corner.
Well, what may play a part in that is when he came up earlier in the game, there were runners on 1st and 2nd. In this situation, with the first baseman Derek Lee holding on the runner, he's got that wide open gap on the right side to pull the ball as a left-handed hitter.
Ogasawara fouls that one back. Big slugger for the Nippon Ham Fighters, for whom he was 2nd in the Pacific League in a home run race last season. Hit 37 of them. Won 5 Gold Gloves, and he flashed some big-time leather, stealing a hit from Brian Schneider early in the contest.
Okay, 37 homers. Now I get why he's not playing.
Although you're right, he did drop down a sacrifice bunt in the 2nd inning. And that's part of the Japanese philosophy. Anyone can bunt anywhere in the order as he fouls this one away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And he'll need a little bit of attention here. The World Baseball Classic, for the first time ever, the game's greatest players playing for pride and the championship. Follow the action on worldbaseballclassic.com. A good crowd on hand. We're expecting over 40,000 tonight from Mexico and Korea here in Southern California. And it looks like somewhere on the order of 35,000 here for game 1. Fouled off again into the seats, and Ogasawara broke his back there.
You know, Parton, I know you agree. This World Baseball Classic truly has been special. We've always had the Olympics where countries were represented, but never have these teams had the star power that you have now. What's over there in the Team USA dugout, and you know, we saw it with Canada, Mexico, now Japan. I mean, you look at the crowds, you look at everybody with USA, Japan, hats, jackets. It truly is on fire.
Well, and I think it was a bit of a concern with the attendance they had at the Tokyo Dome until that final game, Japan and Korea, where they drew over 40,000. Some of the sites, you know, in Orlando or in Florida and Arizona, they're not the big league venues, but here you're at a big league venue and you've got 35 plus. So if there is any concern about this thing being a success, just look here.
In there, strike 3. Ogasawara caught looking. As he went up there with a new bat, but did not get a chance to use it. He strikes out, 1 away.
To me, it's so much tougher for the hitters than it is the pitchers. You've never seen this guy. You don't know about his backdoor little cut fastball. You don't know that he can locate it in a perfect spot. I mean, that ball started off the plate. You think, okay, all right, that's a ball. I'll get another pitch. Oh, wait a minute. Look, and then it catches a corner, and you got to go sit down.
Tanishige has done that twice. The catcher for Japan today batting now. He has struck out each of his first 2 times up. Runner at first base. The United States locked up in a 3-3 tie with Japan, and this was one of those games that when the pools first came out and the pairings were announced, you just felt it was inevitable. The USA and Japan would eventually square off in this tournament, and here it is for the first time in round 2 of the World Baseball Classic.
Buck Martinez doesn't have a whole lot of signs as far as the game's concerned, other than the 3rd base coach. I might look for Buck to give a sign to Brian Schneider here to pass it along to Todd Jones to throw over. Just check the runner in this spot, see if the sacrifice is off, and they may be trying to hit and run. No.
Inside on Tanishige as we give you a look at the bullpen and how good it's been for the United States in round 1, 13 innings. 13 strikeouts.
Just flat out down. Exactly.
Well, and I think Buck said when he was putting this team together, the strength was going to be in the bullpen.
Brian Fuentes waiting his turn. The Colorado Rocky as it's cut on and missed by Taishige.
I can see now why Sajihara decided not to go with the hit and run. I mean, right now, Taishige, he's just having trouble putting the ball in play. He would have run himself into an out and probably ended the inning on this at bat.
Well, Todd Jones is a tough pitcher also to put a hit and run on against because he's erratic. He's conveniently wild.
Swung on and missed. That's strike 3. Foul tip to the mitt, and Schneider hung on. So Taishige will take a seat for the 3rd time today. He strikes out.
Well, the first 2 were against Jake Peavy. You know, he led the National League in strikeout. He got a lot of people last year, 216.
Here comes Buck Martinez. And with him, it would appear the hook is coming. He's about to make a pitching change. Fuentes coming on, the left-hander, and we'll be back in Anaheim with more in a moment. It's the World Baseball Classic presented by Taco Bell. That's downtown Los Angeles, 25 miles away from Anaheim, where we are today. Japan 3, the United States 3, and we're talking about the U.S. bullpen. Buck Martinez calls that one of the sure strengths of Team USA.
When you have guys that have closed out games, as these guys have, Brad Lidge and Joe Nathan and Chad Cordero and Brian Fuentes, it's a marvelous bullpen with a lot of talent. And one thing that happens on a baseball team is bullpens in general have a tendency to be very close. Now you've got a special bullpen of 10 guys that have all excelled. So I think it's going to be a unique atmosphere and probably one of the real strengths of this team.
I love what Buck Martinez is doing here. He's given Brian Fuentes a little breathing room, bringing him in now to face a number 9 guy with 2 outs and man on first, rather than if this guy would have gotten on, having to deal with Ichiro.
Kawasaki, the shortstop, running up to bunt here and drops that one foul back behind the plate, bunting with 2 down.
Well, Buck knew that Sajihara would not go to a pinch hitter here because with a game tied like this guy, we've already seen him make outstanding defensive plays at shortstop. They're not going to pinch hit for him, and Fuentes throughout his career has dominated left-handed hitters.
9th in the National League with 31 saves for Colorado last season. Lined up the middle, and that's going to squeak through for a base hit. Kawasaki's 2nd hit of the day. Uemura advancing to 2nd base. And a threat here in the 7th inning. Japan threatening to untie it as Kawasaki went right back through the box.
When facing a hitter like a Kawasaki, those guys are tough to pitch to because they're pesky hitters. Just going to put the bat on the ball, not a big power hitter. And as a pitcher, well, I know that was watching our pitchers go at guys difficult because all these guys are doing at the plate, just putting the bat on the ball.
And you talk about a difficult spot. If you're Team USA, this is the one situation you wanted to avoid where you have to pitch to Ichiro and he has a chance to beat you.
Well, Fuentes knows him pretty well because Brian Fuentes actually made his major league debut with the Seattle Mariners in June of 2001 as a teammate of Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro's first year in the big leagues in the United States, and that's outside for ball 1.
I think the more you know about Ichiro, the worse it is for a pitcher. We know that he can lead the league in hitting. He can lead the world in hitting. We know now he can hit for power. We know he can hit with runners in scoring position. This is a tough spot for Fuentes.
He homered in his first at bat to start the day for Japan in the 1st inning. Fuentes being very, very careful with him.
I think by what we've seen the first 2 pitches, Fuentes is not going to let Ichiro beat him here in this situation. But he's going to beat you from Team Japan. It's going to be somebody other than Ichiro. I don't expect any strikes here, not after the first 2 pitches.
Look at his career at Angel Stadium. He kind of likes this ballpark, as Eric noted when we came on the air this afternoon. The 2-0 fastball in there for strike.
And even though that pitch was a strike, you can see it. Brian Schneider, the catcher, set up away on the outside corner of the plate. If Fuentes is going to miss away. Don't miss inside or over the middle of the plate.
Ichiro, of course, a great star in Japan for 9 seasons before coming to the United States. Backed away from that pitch, and the count 3 balls and a strike.
Another good fastball, trying to hit the outside corner.
Came back in. So a hitter's count for Ichiro. He went after it and drilled it back to the net. Back to the first inning in his home run swing.
Here, Jake Peavy trying to get inside, leaves the ball a bit over the plate. Ichiro just turns on it. But that's the thing about Ichiro. He can do whatever he wants to do with a pitch up at the plate. If he wants to slap the ball the other way, he will. If he wants to turn on it, that makes it very difficult for a pitcher.
2 on, 2 out. Runners go. Ground ball easily played by Young at second base, and the side is retired. And Fuentes does great work coming out of the bullpen. He gets the magnificent Ichiro Suzuki to ground out harmlessly, and we're still tied at 3 in the 7th. Welcome back to the World Baseball Classic, presented by Taco Bell. And this afternoon from Anaheim, California, it's the United States and Japan in round 2, pool 1. In the same pool, along with Mexico and Korea, they tangle later on tonight in this ballpark. We're tied 3-3 in the bottom of the 7th inning. And it's the top of the order for the United States. Now Aoki Shimizu stays on to pitch. Shimizu in the 6th inning, giving up a home run and also walking a man. Gave up a 2-run shot to Derek Lee that tied up the ball game at 3 apiece. Michael Young, a good day going. He has singled twice.
And Dave, excuse me, the first time where Team USA has had an opportunity to swing the bat and take the lead right now. I mean, you talk about the eye of the tiger. You talk about Michael Young ready to go. And then you had the shot of Ken Griffey Jr. He can't wait to get from where he's at now to the on-deck circle and then hopefully to home plate with men on base.
Another bat third in this inning, with Alex Rodriguez to bat if anyone is on base. The 1-1 pitch. It's down and away. So Young on base all 3 times. So look at his numbers. With the Rangers last season, the American League batting champion. And for the 2nd time in as many innings, Sadahara O gets a left-hander and a right-hander going in his bullpen. Up high for a ball.
I like what Buck Martinez did with his lineup. Sure, you got Young and Jeter from the right side, but then you go left, right, switch hitter, right, left, right. I mean, it's tough to manage a bullpen when you've got that kind of balance in a lineup.
Derek Jeter on deck. And the 3-1 to Young. Stroke to center field. He's on again. His 3rd hit today. Michael Young is aboard. Well, there's one true swing he takes on the ball.
Well, he's making the most of his opportunity today. Chase Utley getting a few of the starts in the last night. Michael Young, every time up today, hit the ball well. Been on base 4 times, 3 base hits. He presents a problem now for Team Japan. He can steal a bag. Derek Jeter at the plate can employ a hit and run. A lot of things can happen.
Let's see how Buck Martinez elects to play it. Jeter did put down a bunt for a base hit.
And I'll guarantee you that that was Derek Jeter doing that on his own. You can see from his last couple of bats, he truly is not swinging the bat well. He said that to us before the game. We'll see what he elects to do here.
Young with a short lead. Jeter is bunting, drops it toward first base. And down to second moves Young on the sacrifice. So the United States playing to take the lead for the first time in the game on the bunt by Jeter.
You want to know why Derek Jeter knows nothing but the postseason in his playing career? Because he knows how to help a team get the lead. That's what he's doing here. Even though it was a ball, it was clearly a pitch that he could handle. He's not swinging the bat well. If he was, he would have been able to hit right there. But instead, you know what? I know the guy behind me is swinging the bat well. I'm going to give him an opportunity to give us a lead.
Oh, we'll make a pitching change. We'll take a break and be back with that when we return to Anaheim in just a moment. Some wonderful looks at this World Baseball Classic tilt between Japan and the United States. At the moment locked up at 3-3, but Team USA threatening, and a pitching change just made by Sadahara O. He'll bring on the left-hander, Soichi Fujita. He has been a terrific left-handed reliever, one of the preeminent relievers in Japan over the last several years.
Well, you can tell this is just a situational move. I mean, 45 games last year, only threw 38 innings, so what that usually means, come in, get a batter, let somebody else come in, and I can guarantee that's what Sadahara is going to do right now.
Yeah, and he's got the right-hander down in the bullpen who would be ready to go if needed to face Alex Rodriguez. I love it at this point in the game, late in the game, all tied up. Boy, the wheels are really spinning in both of these dugouts, and a lot of tough decisions for managers to make.
Sanaharo has been a very successful manager since his wonderful playing career came to an end, a couple of times winning the Japan Series, and now taking over Team Japan in the very first World Baseball Classic.
Well, you know, if you go back to the top of the 7th, he got the leadoff guy on, and he decided not to sacrifice with his number 7 hitter. You get down the bunt, the next thing you know, the 9 guy gets a base hit. You might have had the lead at that point. You know, a lot of tough decisions and a lot of things that could turn out different.
And a lot of national pride on the line as a result of those decisions, as Michael Young gets the lead at second. Here's Ken Griffey Jr. On the day, 1 for 3 with a base hit. And it's into the dirt for a ball. On deck, Alex Rodriguez.
And they were both paying incredible attention to Fujita as he warmed up. I mean, A-Rod probably won't hit off of Fujita, but they were both talking about, what do you see? We know that he likes to throw a lot of breaking balls, and when you know that, to me, Eric Harris, you start looking for something up in the zone, and that might be where Griffey Jr. is sitting now.
But as you said earlier in the telecast, he hasn't seen this guy before. He doesn't know how these pitches break.
The lefty swings it in there for strike.
How they move. You know, in this situation, the pitcher absolutely has the advantage, and if he makes his pitches, he's going to be successful. Where he can get hurt is if he makes a mistake. That's when Ken Griffey Jr. will pounce, and you may see something exciting.
Well, 35 home runs last season for Cincinnati, and a big comeback year, drove in 92 runs. Looking to pick up an RBI right here. Up and over the shoulder as he goes down on a knee to get clear of it. That draws the ire of this crowd in Anaheim.
Good morning. Good afternoon. And an absolutely great turn on the part of Griffey Jr. Letting that ear flap help you if you cannot get out of the way.
Michael Young leading at second base, 1 out. Check swing, and it's inside around those hands.
There's that breaking ball too.
Griffey has already excelled against Japanese pitching, by the way. He was named the MVP of the Major League Baseball All-Star Tour of Japan way back in the 1990 series. When American All-Stars toured the land of the rising sun, here comes the 3-1 pitch. Swinging a high fly ball right field. Ichiro backing up with room, however. Young back to second to tag up. Off he goes. The throw cut off and will not be made into third base, so the runner advances 90 feet away on a fly out by Ken Griffey Jr.
Well, Ken Griffey Jr. just misses this pitch, gets underneath it a bit, still hit it sky high. Again, a pretty good at bat for having never faced this pitcher. You can see he leaves it up in the zone, not the pitch he wants to make in that situation, but he does his job, gets Ken Griffey Jr. out. Next up is A-Rod.
He will face a new pitcher. We have a pitching change for Japan when we come back to Anaheim. Japan 3, United States 3, but the USA with a runner at third base here in the 7th inning. Our aerial coverage is courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and its fleet of airships, reminding you to travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's Forterra tire featuring silent armor technology. Rick Sutcliffe, Eric Karros, Dave O'Brien, and Duke Castiglione with you from Anaheim, California. And a good crowd on hand for the World Baseball Classic matchup, much anticipated between Japan and the United States. Yasuhiko Yabuta will come on and pitch now. The right-hander brought on to face Alex Rodriguez.
David, watching Yabuta warm up here, he is having a tough time getting warm. He has not thrown one strike as of yet. Fastball, slider, forkball. Normally a control type guy, but as we mentioned earlier, it's a lot cooler here today than it normally would be. Alex Rodriguez bearing down. Everything he has thrown has been well up and out of the zone. Get some up and out over the plate to Alex Rodriguez, it could become a souvenir.
I wonder too, as Ichiro Suzuki has already started this game, clobbering a home run early in the contest to give Japan a 1-0 lead. Remember, Ichiro is actually a pitcher when he played in Japan before he became a professional, before he became an outfielder. And you wonder how much he discussed the major league hitters here in the States with his pitching staff for Japan. Here's A-Rod now. He's 1 for 3 with a single. And that first one set is up high for ball 1.
You got to be patient. You got a guy in the on-deck circle that is every bit as hot as Alex Rodriguez is. He knows he's got a base open. He may not want to give in to Alex Rodriguez here, and Alex Rodriguez can't give in and get himself out on a bad pitch.
But you have another MVP, 1999 National League MVP Chipper Jones waiting on deck. And that's off the outside corner. Michael Young at third, just 90 feet away from untying this game. The United States has not led today, but has fought back to tie it at 3 thanks to a 2-run homer from Derek Lee in the 6th inning.
Well, and right before that was the patience on the part of Chipper Jones, drawing the walk, setting up the tying home run.
The 2-0 to A-Rod. Trim the outside corner right around the knees, and it's 2-1.
You got to take that.
Yeah, that's a great job of hitting right there, Alex Rodriguez. It's not a pitch that he can hit. Doesn't matter if it's a strike. He's still got 2 more. Being patient, knowing to be patient, and then actually executing it, those are 2 different animals. If you can do both, you're a superstar player.
Outfield deep on Rodriguez as he swings a home run cut, but comes up empty, and it's 2-2.
See, he completely got away from that. I mean, all of a sudden now there's almost like some hesitation in this swing. He sees it start out up. It's like he's going to take it, and then all of a sudden he goes, no, I want to swing at that. I mean, right there, he clearly was not prepared to swing at that pitch.
Well, it's one thing to know what you're supposed to do and then going out and doing it. I know many times at the plate, I'm going to take this pitch or don't. I know the situation, and then boom, do something completely different.
The 2-2. He struck him out with a breaking ball.
Well, Dave, honestly, and A-Rod will tell you, I know it's spring training for him, but he simply got himself out in that big spot.
And Japan out of the inning. We're still tied at 3.
ESPN2's telecast of the World Baseball Classic is presented by the Taco Bell Chicken Caesar Grilled Stuffed Burrito, the burrito for chicken Caesar salad lovers, and in part by Budweiser. Bright, crisp, clean, pure. This is Budweiser. This is beer.
Well, they're loving the afternoon's festivities right down the road at Disneyland. We've had a terrific ball game here at Angel Stadium in Anaheim. Japan 3 and the United States 3. Joe Nathan, the Minnesota Twin, comes on to pitch as we move to the 8th.
An all-star a year ago for those Minnesota Twins. You look at the great numbers.
He saved 87 games over the last couple of seasons for the Minnesota franchise. The second most of any major league pitcher behind Mariano Rivera of the New York Yankees, who saved 96.
What a great bullpen for Ron Gardenhire, manager of the Twins. We saw Jesse Crain pitching for Team Canada, the setup guy, with his 12 victories a year ago, and then Nathan with all of the saves.
So Yoshi Nishioka hitting here. He has singled, grounded out, and struck out 1 for 3. Batting out of the 2 spot, the Japanese second baseman. Chipper Jones drawn in at third, anticipating a possible bunt here. We're talking about Mariano Rivera, the great New York Yankee. There's another great New York Yankee not playing for Japan, Duke Castiglione, and that's been somewhat controversial.
Yeah, Hideki Matsui, one of the big names, not here. He really the most popular player in Japan. And Matsui said the reason he did not want to play is because he felt he owed it to the Yankees after signing a big contract and wants to win a championship this year with the Yankees. His manager, O, said it's a pity, but that's his decision.
It's a pity, but not in the eyes of his owner, George Steinbrenner, who clearly does not want Yankees involved in the World Baseball Classic, feels there's a chance they might get injured and compromise the championship season. George has been quite loud about that in his opinion. Laced up the middle for a base hit by Nishioka. He's on to start the 8th inning for Japan.
Well, Nishioka is the guy you wanted to keep off the bases. Now you get to the heart of this Japanese lineup. Like we said earlier, Nishioka, 41 of 41 in stolen base attempts last year. He is a threat to run.
Just started a switch hit 2 years ago. Now hitting on both sides of the plate, and here's Tamura.
No question the opportunity to steal a base is here, but as a pitcher, I mean, your priority is to make a good pitch because you've got power coming from Team Japan from here all the way through that 7th spot.
You have arguably the best throwing catcher over the last 3 seasons in the major leagues behind the plate in Brian Schneider, as he sets up a bunt attempt instead, and that one outside for ball.
A lot of good options for Buck Martinez as opposed to who the catcher would be. Michael Barrett, an all-star offensive guy, Jason Varitek. But I think the big reason he went with Schneider is because Eric cares for the speed of Team Japan and those great throwing numbers for Schneider.
Well, Schneider just eliminates the running game, and right now it's as important as any time.
Bunt popped up 5 ground. There's Derek Lee diving, and he makes the play. The Gold Glover with the defensive play of the day for Team USA.
I think he's hurt.
Very slow to get up, Rick.
I think he came down awkwardly on that left wrist. And boy, as a hitter, your hands are so important. You just hope that everything is okay here. What an effort, but all of a sudden when he fully extended, Eric, you've made this play many times, that big body comes down right on that left wrist.
I don't know if I've necessarily made that play, but I know I've done it many a times. But you know what you're saying, you get that initial stinger, that little reaction, you start to panic a little bit, like, oh my goodness, I did something to my wrist. Looks like, you know, you move it around, you give it a few minutes, and you start to feel a little bit better, and you start to breathe a little easier. So hopefully Derek Lee is okay.
Well, he's going to stay in, obviously, 2-time Gold Glover, and as much as you would miss him defensively, you do have Mark Teixeira available to play over there at first base, and he's a Gold Glover as well. You just missed Derek Lee's bat so much.
You're exactly right, Dave, but we're talking about Matsui not playing in this thing because he didn't want to get hurt. That play right there could have happened with Derek Lee for the Chicago Cubs today in an exhibition game. It's part of the game. It's an unfortunate part, but it's there.
Nobuhiko Matsunaka hitting now. He is 0 for 3 today. Runner goes. Here's Schneider's throw. The peg. Not in time to get him. Yoshioka with a stolen base on Schneider and company, and into scoring territory here for Japan.
Yeah, it'll go against the throwing stat of Brian Schneider, but he stole this base off of Joe Nathan. When the sacrifice bunt didn't work, all of a sudden Sagihara O getting aggressive, said go ahead, take off. That base was stolen on the pitcher. The high leg kick, Brian Schneider with a perfect throw right on the money, but just too much speed to throw him out.
So Nishioka, as you pointed out, Eric Karros, perfect last year in stolen bases for Bobby Valentine and Chivalote. And attacking here in the 8th inning of this contest against the United States. Sunshine on the field for the first time today. Pretty gloomy gray afternoon here in Anaheim until now. Matsunaka, big-time RBI man in Japan, takes outside for ball. He drove in 121 runs for Fukuoka. MVP of the Pacific League a couple of years ago. And one of the top sluggers in the land of the rising sun.
And with this sunshine comes shadows, and shadows are always a pitcher's best friend.
Nathan trying to make those work to his advantage. Nice stop there by Schneider, but did it hit him on the foot? And right now, no word on that as Matsunaka went down. Now he's hobbling. And they're going to send him to first base as a hit batsman here.
Well, that's tough because Nathan is throwing a ball that's running inside to a left-handed hitter, and it just hits him flush. I mean, there's no nothing. That's just all foot, and that's bone. There's no padding. I can tell you right now, that hurts like heck right now.
Eric, right along with what you mentioned about the shadows, when you have that kind of background or lack of it, you don't pick up the rotation on a breaking ball, and it really didn't look like he was able to move to the last moment. And of course, by then it was too late.
Well, that's the thing. When you pitched with shadows, did that change your pitch selection? Would you go with more breaking balls? Would you go with a fastball? What would you do?
To me, Eric, a lot of times what that meant was I didn't have to throw a pitch in the strike zone. If I could throw an off-speed pitch that looked to be a strike for a long time and had movement down and out of the zone, a lot of times a hitter would get themselves out. You take a look now, Michael Young, between pitches here, he ran into the dugout to get some glasses in case it becomes a problem on a pop-up.
Yeah, I know that when I used to play first base and there were shadows, I'd go to the pitcher's mound and say, look, last time I was up at the plate, I could not pick up the spin. Go with the breaking ball.
Meanwhile, Matsunaka just drilled by the pitch, which never reached Schneider's mitt. Still hobbled over there as he's limping at first base. Fukudome now. Really going after the first pitch wickedly, fouls it away. He's 0 for 2.
Normally in this situation with all the left-handers, Dave, you know that right now Buck Martinez would love to have Billy Wagner down there to come in. You know, the batting averages will tell you how important it is to have a left-hander on left-hander, right-hander on right-hander. Right now, Buck Martinez does not have that luxury.
Nathan in need of a double play ball here to get out of the inning. 2 on. And he misses up high. 93 with that fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Nathan's not really a ground ball kind of guy. He had good sharp slider, righting fastball, strikeout, fly ball type guy. But he'd sure like to have that ground ball.
Well, just you said he's a power pitcher, a typical power pitcher. He used to be a starter in the Giants organization. Coming to the Twins after an arm surgery, has emerged as one of the top closers.
That's downstairs for ball. And again went with a fastball. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, and 2 on. Japan trying to retake the lead. Team Japan had a 3-0 lead early in the contest, started by a home run by Ichiro Suzuki at the top of the day. But the U.S. battling back on home runs by Chipper Jones and Derek Lee to tie this thing. Here comes the pitch. Check swing. Did he offer? The appeal, and no swing, says Neil Bolton at third base.
A little bit surprised from our vantage point here. I thought that was a swing. We'll take a look at it one more time. Did it cross home plate? Absolutely it did. Tough break for Team USA. A great opportunity here for Team Japan.
Because the count is 3-1. Fukudome looking to sit on something he can drive here. Runner at second, breaking for third, and that is low for ball 4. So the bases are all filled up for Japan after a hit batsman and a walk, and Nathan getting a little bit wild.
Well, Fukudome to me has been one of the most impressive guys for Team Japan. Not only his ability to throw, you take a look at his outfield play, but you know, him being patient at home plate. That is the second walk of the day for him. The first one led to a run back in the 2nd inning.
Brad Lidge, the Houston Astros all-star, still available in that bullpen, but just looking on now because Nathan is in trouble. A single, a hit batsman, and a walk have loaded them up for Japan. Little Trey Griffey looking on from the dugout. And that one misses down low on Iwamura. So Nathan's all over the place right here.
Well, this is a good move by Schneider to go out to the mound, give Nathan a breather, step back, just calm him down. You know, that's something that isn't talked about very often. You know, pitchers have their relationship with catchers. Catchers understand what their pitchers are going through. They'll go out, they'll calm them down in certain situations. They may talk to them about something. Here, these guys have been thrown together in just a matter of a week or two, and you're trying to learn the tendencies of one another and how you can go out and settle somebody down.
You know, and Marcel Latchman, the pitching coach, has spent a lot of time talking with each one of his pitching coaches on their respective team. He hopefully can go out there and say something to Joe Nathan that will get him back to throwing strikes.
Iwamura in the catbird seat here with a Japanese teammate at every base. A 3-3 tie in the 8th inning. Only 1 away, and Nathan fires. Fouled off for strike.
And did you see Nishioka at third base started running down the line like maybe he was going to try and steal a bag or something was on to steal home. And again, the way the Americans see baseball, they'd never do anything like that. But here you don't know what the Japanese are going to do. And it's not just a half-baked effort. It looks like maybe he's going to steal home.
Almost looked like a squeeze bunt. But no offer at the plate, and that is up high again by Nathan. Really scuffling right now in a tight spot for Team USA. 2 balls, 1 strike. Marcel Latchman on the horn again. Nishioka, Matsunaka, and Fukudome on the bases for Japan. And no place to put Iwamura. He swings. It's a high pop into left, but not deep. Wind coming in on it. Nishioka tagging up. Here's the throw home, and it will not get there. And Japan retakes the lead 4-3. Now they're going to appeal at third to see if he left early, and he did not. So that run will count to make it 4-3.
Well, Ichiro does the job here. His only responsibility is to get that runner in from third base, keep the ball off the ground. He hits it deep enough. Randy Wynn, a great outfielder, but not known for having a strong arm. Couple that with Nishioka being on third base and a speedster, there really wasn't much of an opportunity. I think the American Ball Club, Buck Martinez, a bit concerned who was supposed to make the call at third base as far as the umpires are concerned, and whether or not Nishioka left third base early.
Well, Bob Davidson's a crew chief, and he's going to Brian Knight at second base, and Buck Martinez got the call reversed.
They just overturned the call, and you can take that run off the board, and now Sadahara wants to come out and argue it. They have overturned the call at third base and erased the run, indicating that in the umpire's eyes, Nishioka left early and therefore is out after tagging up at third base. And they have taken the run off the board. It's retied at 3 apiece.
You know, that's one thing that during the course of the last 2 years, Dave, we've seen a lot more of, where umpires get together and confer and try to get the call right. Obviously, changing that call excited Buck Martinez.
Well, I can only say that I hope somebody actually saw that runner leave third base early. You know, sometimes guys make calls, some things happen. I mean, 9 out of 10 times the umpires get it right, but somebody better have seen that.
And of course, you cannot appeal if the next batter steps in and there's a pitch to him. That appeal is not allowed. You can't do it at that point. So Buck had to argue it then. Now we're going to take a look to see if we can pick it up. Whether Tsuyoshi Nishioka actually left early. He thought he had been on the bag long enough on the throw by Wynn from left field that he did not leave prematurely. Take a look. What do you think?
I think the umpires made the good call. I think they made the right call. It looked to me like it may have been just a half step too early.
Gentleman on the right, the interpreter for Sadahara talking it over with the home plate umpire and the crew chief Bob Davidson, explaining why the appeal by Buck Martinez the second time was upheld and overturned that call. First time it was not by Neil Poulton.
I think what the concern is the umpires have a rotation, and the third base umpire isn't necessarily responsible for making that call at third base. You know, they rotate around depending on what the situation is with the guys on base.
They keep telling Team Japan that they have to take the field. And right now, no one's listening over there. They refuse to take the field because there are 3 outs as a result of the appeal and the overturned call. One more look.
Didn't leave early. Did not leave early.
And there was no reason to leave early, like you said, Eric, because of the lack of arm strength from Randy Wynn. He did not. That should have been a run. And even still to this point, Team Japan is refusing to take the field.
Well, see that? I know as a former player, what used to always upset me is make sure you see something if you're going to make a call or have an impact on a game. You better make darn sure you saw it, because you don't want to play a role in the game as the umpire. In this situation,
well, particularly creating an international incident here in the 8th inning of a tie game.
Bob Davidson's a crew chief, and if you're ever going to reverse a call, you have to be positive. That's a crying shame right there. What happened to Team Japan?
Absolutely, it is.
Well, from that angle, that replay, he did not leave early.
No, he didn't leave early. And just, again, in this situation, you have to be definitive. You have to be sure you saw something.
World Baseball Classic coverage continues tonight with a doubleheader of action on ESPN2 at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. Bernie Williams in Puerto Rico take on Albert Pujols and the Dominican Republic. That's in San Juan. And back here in Anaheim at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 Pacific. It's Mexico and Korea going head-to-head. In the meantime, here in Anaheim, Japan has finally, at long last, taken the field, taking up their defensive positions in the United States back in the
because no matter what the outcome of this game, especially if the U.S. wins by 1 run in extra innings, people will focus on this call, and that's unfortunate.
Tsuyoshi Nishioka ruled to have left too early, tagging up at third base. It looked for all the world as if he had scored on a sacrifice fly to short left field, the go-ahead run for Japan. But it's overturned. He is ruled out.
Why do I keep thinking instant replay?
Here's Chipper Jones to start the home half of the 8th inning. He has already homered in this one and grounded out. He's also walked and scored. He scored 2 of the 3 United States runs, and he's 4 for 10 in the World Baseball Classic.
Team USA had an opportunity to score in the bottom of the 7th, but the bullpen shut down Team USA, that by Japan.
High chopper on first and a fair ball. Gasawara will touch the bag for the out. 1 man away in the United States 8th inning.
The bullpen for Team Japan was outstanding. Fujita came in and got Griffey out. Yabuda got A-Rod out on a strikeout.
Back to the 6th inning, and it was Derek Lee touching them all for the 3rd time in the Classic. His 2-run homer would tie the game at 3 apiece. It has stayed right there ever since.
And I think as this game goes later on, later stages of the innings here, it favors Team USA not only because of the bullpen, but because Team USA has so many guys that can end it on one swing of the bat. But Team Japan is going to have to piece something together.
Lee, 46 home runs for the Cubs. Fouls that one back for a strike. He's also made a dynamite diving play. There's Johnny Damon. Believe it or not, that is Johnny Damon in the on-deck area. And starting today in the outfield, but coming off the bench for Buck Martinez, the freshly shaved Johnny.
That's not the guy we saw with a Red Sox uniform on. Of course, the Yankees with their policy. We've seen Jason Giambi clean some things up.
Outside for ball. And it was symbolizing the Red Sox title march in 2004. That band of idiots, as he lovingly tapped them.
Cowboy up. They were a fun team to cover.
Sure were.
Legitimate characters. Kevin Millar.
Characters with character. The right-hander with a 1-2 pitch. Cut on and missed, and Lee is retired on strikes. So 2 down in the 8th.
You know, Dave, just to finish the thought and from up here all we can do is guess, but my thought is what happened there. The call was made correctly. Buck Martinez came out to the home plate umpire, the crew chief, Bob Davidson. Bob Davidson's been a professional umpire for almost 30 years. He said, "What did you see? Do you think the umpire on the base absolutely knows he got it right? If not, would you please go check?" That's when Davidson, in his opinion, thought that the runner left early. He went out and overturned what should have been the correct call.
Yabuda missing up high for a ball on Damon. He's hitting out of the 7th spot for Schneider here.
Well, not to absolve Bob Davidson yet, but I'm not so sure that he was the one that made the call, or the second base umpire made the call, then Bob Davidson, being the crew chief, was the messenger.
If it was the second base umpire, that's Brian Knight. Here's a look at Brian, who may have had what he thought was a better angle on the play. Damon 1 out of 6 so far in the World Baseball Classic here. Bases empty and 2 down. Johnny, of course, with home run power. He fouls it back to the net.
I thought what happened was the umpire at third base, Neil Poulton, went out to make sure the catch was made. And that was when the umpire at second base, Brian Knight, came over. And when they appealed the play, he called him safe, which was the correct call. That's when I thought Bob Davidson went out and said, no, 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 I'm going to overrule you. I clearly saw that he left early, and he was clearly wrong. That is my guess from here.
10 on a miss, strike 3. Damon goes down hacking. 1, 2, 3. The United States done in here in the 8th. So we go to the 9th. Lots of controversy. We're tied at 3. The United States very, very fortunate to still be tied up with Japan 3-3, and with an opportunity to win this thing as we go to the top half of the 9th inning. Alex Rodriguez and his teammates trying to untie it, but we thought for all the world Japan had done that on a sacrifice fly in the 8th inning But a call was overturned on the appeal, and that run was actually erased at third base. Did not hold up as Brad Lidge comes on to pitch the ninth for the United States.
Dave, we take a look at his great numbers. A closer for the Houston Astros. Of course, they were in the World Series just last year. Michael Barrett will come on to catch because Johnny Damon pinch hit for Brian Snyder. But what we can't forget about, not only should Japan have the lead, but they should still be hitting.
Yes, in there for a strike on Ogasawara. And I think it probably needs to be mentioned as well, and we touched on it a bit. The home plate umpire, Bob Davidson, the man who overruled his second base umpire, Brian Knight, was a longtime major league umpire. He was at it at the big league level, what, about 15 years before the dispute, the labor dispute with Major League Baseball cost him a job a couple of years ago.
And why he's back now is because he's not a full-time umpire at the big league level. He made a decision to step out when they decided to argue some of the labor points, and a lot of those guys lost their jobs because of it.
Lidge delivers a check swing by Ogasawara, who has dropped down a bunt. He's also flied out and struck out. That's quite a different thing to have to face a guy like Lidge bringing heat in the upper 90s with his nasty stuff.
I think if there's one guy I needed to get one out with right now in all of baseball, I think Brad Lidge is a guy with one. He's got a 90-mile-an-hour slider.
Missed outside there at 93, and a count 3-1.
Well, not only is it a 90-mile-an-hour slider, but the rotation is almost impossible to pick up as a hitter. You know, you couple that with the speed and the inability to pick it up, it just makes for a nightmare up at the plate.
Outside for ball 4. The last couple of innings, the United States pitching staff has been around the plate more than down the middle of it, with a couple of walks and a hit batsman here between innings 8 and 9.
Number 23,
so Japan will bring up a pinch batter and a guy who just flat hit. Aoki to bat here, the 24-year-old star who last season became the first man since the days of Ichiro Suzuki to come up with 200 hits in a season in Japan. He not only led Japan's Central League with a .344 average that earned him the Rookie of the Year, he also joined Ichiro breaking that sacred barrier in Japan, just so rare. He flirts with a bunt but takes it outside for a ball.
You know, and what we can't forget too, Dave, is the fact he had those 202 hits in just 144 games, unlike the 162 game schedule that you have in the United States.
Michika Aoki batting here out of the 8th spot as a pinch hitter. He takes up high for a ball. As you see, bats left-handed like Ichiro. He idolizes Ichiro Suzuki. His hitting style very similar.
Well, and that's something about getting the opportunity to play on this ball club alongside Ichiro is something that really intrigued him. And he said he was going to ask a lot of questions, try and learn something. And you know, all these guys out here are superstars, but remember, they're also fans.
In fact, he is lockering right next to Ichiro. Drops down a beautiful bunt. Chipper Jones tosses on to first to get him. Down to second, Ogasawara. So Japan has the go-ahead run in scoring position again.
Talk about the bat of Ichiro Suzuki. A lot of people call it a magic wand. Take a look at this. Look at how he just catches the baseball with the end of the bat. Look at the eyes following the baseball to the bat. They're just perfectly placed. Chipper's got to come in and get it. Job well done.
Well, it's something that's different culturally. Japan, the U.S., repetition. I mean, that's what the Japanese do. Oh, repetition, repetition, repetition. That's how they become so fundamentally sound.
Here's the number 9 hitter, Kawasaki, as he takes a strike in the inside corner. 2 singles for him today, including one that drove in a pair of runs in the second inning.
Tough spot here for Derek Jeter. Not only does he have to play defense at the shortstop position, but it's his job to keep the base runner close and from getting a good jump trying to steal third. Chipper has to play in to respect another bunt.
Lidge fires. Ground ball toward Jeter. He'll scoop the runner advancing to third. 2 down. Ogasawara now just 90 feet from the plate with 2 away.
Let's go back to that play, which should have given Team Japan the lead. You got the bases loaded. You got one out. There's the fly. Clearly caught. The runner clearly on the base. Here comes the throw. Now the second base umpire had wrote it and made the call correctly. Now the home plate umpire, the crew chief, goes out to the younger umpire and says, hey, that's not the right call. I thought he left early. Are you sure? The second base umpire must have said, I'm not sure. The play was overturned and what should have been the lead for Team Japan.
Ichiro about to be put on intentionally here. He'll take the walk. This will put runners on the corners. I will say this about Buck Martinez's view. He had the best view in the house over at his dugout along the third base side. And I don't think a manager comes out and argues that call unless he has a pretty good idea that there was a chance the umpires were going to see it his way.
Or unless you're going to be behind by 1 run facing Team Japan in the 8th inning and you're expected to win.
But it's not something a manager does arbitrarily.
But in this match, it's worth a try. That's all. It's worth a try. You have nothing to lose. And I know Buck Martinez knows Bob Davidson's history. When I say Bob Davidson's history, he has always been involved in a lot of games. And what I mean by that, he has a tendency to call box a lot. He has a tendency to call a situation like this. And you know, I credit the second base umpire because if he wasn't sure, he called him safe, which means he definitely didn't see him leave early.
Yeah. It would have been Brian Knight who apparently got it right. Bob Davidson overturning him apparently got it wrong. Nishioka here swings and fouls it away. 2 down, runners at first and third. Japan trying to retake that lead and see that it holds up this time in the 9th inning.
Well, with all the speed on the base pad, there were a couple of ways of maybe going about getting this lead. You could send Ichiro here and hope to draw a throw from Michael Barrett.
I think you'd almost be doing the United States a favor by running if you're Ichiro.
The runner goes at first. The pitch is high, no throw, and Ichiro easily trots into second base uncontested.
And the reason I say that, now you move Derek Lee back off the bag. You don't hold the runner on. You have a left-handed hitter at the plate and take away that hole. What Derek Lee has to be aware of, though, in this situation, Nishioka can bunt. And with where Derek Lee is playing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Nishioka drops one down.
Checks his swing, and that's in there for a strike. Nishioka did not think so. He disagreed with the call a bit.
Oh, he started to find the release point on that breaking ball. He struggled with it earlier in this inning when he walked the leadoff guy. He's found that release point now, and that just doubles your pleasure if you're Brad Lidge because you've still got that good fastball as well to use.
Lidge, one of the premier strikeout men in the major leagues. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Into the dirt. Nice stop by Barrett to keep that runner at third.
He has really become an outstanding all-around catcher. We know that Michael Barrett could hit. He always could. But he was drafted in the first round by Montreal as a shortstop. He's a converted type guy, and obviously the conversion worked.
Nishioka, the man at home plate, was the man ruled to have left early and denied that run in the 8th inning. And now Barrett will trot out to the hill. The crowd really into it here in the 9th inning in Anaheim. About 35,000 or so on hand for the United States and Japan in a much anticipated meeting in the World Baseball Classic.
And as a pitcher, Rick, when you threw that ball in the dirt and you saw your catcher block that, especially in this situation,
I didn't throw it again.
Well, but what about helping your confidence?
Well,
so you don't have to eliminate a pitch. You can still go back to that because you know your catcher will keep you.
2 men in scoring position. Check swing, pitch in the dirt. Did he offer? They do appeal. No swing, says Polton.
On seeing Lidge comes back with that breaking ball, he's confident enough to throw it in the dirt where Barrett can block. I mean, you don't want to keep putting that kind of pressure on your catcher. But as a hitter, you have to think, look, you know, we just bounced one. It's a slider. Maybe I can look for a fastball. It's a game of cat and mouse.
A couple of big stops here by Barrett to keep the go-ahead run from scoring in the 9th inning. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Up and away for ball 4, and the bases are loaded for the 2nd straight inning for Japan.
and they are all loaded via the free pass. There's no way to defend a base on balls, and that is how all three of those base runners got on.
Hitoshi Tamura to bat with a teammate at every base here in a 3-3 tie in the 9th inning.
Well, Tamura came back with a great year last year after some injuries the last few years. Hit over 300, over 30 home runs.
He's already homered twice in the Classic. That's right through there for a strike as he checked the swing.
EK, you've seen what's going on with Brad Lidge right now. He really can't throw the fastball for a strike. I mean, as difficult as it is to look breaking ball with a guy throwing this hard, I almost feel like that's the pitch you're going to have to hit here.
The right-hander Lidge with the 0-1. Missed badly that time.
Well, you're absolutely right, Seth. You've got to look for a breaking ball as a hitter in this situation because that's the only one he is getting over for a strike. By the same token, though, that is one of Brad Lidge's top pitches, and if he throws that good breaking ball, it doesn't matter if you're looking for it or not.
Look for it up, try to take it right back up the middle.
Cut on and missed by Tamura. Big-time slugger for Yokohama for the Bay Stars. He's hit 71 home runs over the last 2 years. Look at Dontrell Willis fired up.
Look at the breaking ball here. Down and out of the zone.
So even if you're looking for that, you got no chance.
Lidge on the edge of the biggest strikeout of the day. Swing and a miss, he got him. Tamura strikes out, Lidge holds. And Japan leaves the bases loaded here in the 9th inning. This one's still tied. The USA 3, Japan 3. The United States trying to win it in the bottom of the 9th.
His team did not want to take the field. They knew that the base runner did not leave early. They were totally upset by it, and it could have been a huge problem because of the respect they too have for their manager. When he came back and said, hey, get out there in the field, play defense, that's when they grab their gloves and win.
Fujikawa is taking over on the mound. He'll do the pitching, the right-hander for Japan. Aoki, who came on to drop down a beautiful sacrifice bunt, stays in the game in left field.
You know, David brings up an interesting situation. I mean, if this series in 09 is played in Japan, will it be, you know, Japanese umpires that we have? There's a problem right there that needs to be solved, and we know that it will.
And are they still going to be talking about that play in the 8th inning in Anaheim on this day come the next World Baseball Classic? Vernon Wells will lead things off in the bottom of the 9th. A 3-3 tie here. He's doubled and singled out of the number 8 slot. He's also fly to right. And the first pitch to him is up high for ball 1. Randy Wynn up next, and then Michael Young due up for the United States in the home half of the 9th. This Team USA tries to win a controversial ball game against Japan. That's down low for ball on Vernon Wells.
On Fujikawa, the pitcher for Japan, very, very good curveball. He's a setup guy. He was in about 80 games last year, went 7-1 with a 1.36. He's going to come at you. He's not a closer type, but he's going to be asked to shut down this USA offense.
Fujikawa delivers, and it's a good hack, but fouled straight back by Vernon Wells. Houston Street, the talented Oakland Athletics right-hander, getting loose in the bullpen.
You got to go back to before the All-Star break, before this man blew a save. What a year he had for Oakland, and a big part of the reason that they almost got into the postseason.
And what we have to remember, just a year removed from the University of Texas.
Fujikawa, a setup man for the Hanshin Tigers during the season, drops in a strike. Went 7-1 with a 136 earned run average and was used in 80 games last season, so he's a workhorse.
Some kind of setup man. Just 25 years of age. You take a look at this fork ball, catching the lower part of the strike zone for strike 2. 92 innings, only 20 walks, and 139 strikeouts a year ago for this guy.
Ball even, 2-2 on Wells. Bounding ball toward the hole, and that's going to be off. 2 men. And it'll be a hit for Vernon Wells, and a big one here to start the bottom of the ninth for Team USA. Ichiro and Kawasaki both had a shot at it. Neither one of them could come up with it.
Just off the end of both gloves, you know you've got good speed with Vernon Wells going down the line. They were just not able to come up with it. Take a look here. Perfect placement on that ground ball. And you can see that the third baseman had to guard the line. You're in the last inning. You don't want to give up a lead-up double down the line, but by protecting that line, you weren't able to get to that ground ball.
So Randy Wynn will climb in, the speedy switch hitter, 0 for 3 today. Ogasawara has to hold Wells over there at first base. Ichiro is leaning in at third, and Wynn looks to bunt, drops it down, fair ball. Ichiro on to first base, did not get him. That pulled him off. The throw took him away from first base, and everybody's safe. And another call that goes against Japan. Wynn just trying to sacrifice himself there, lands up safe at first.
Nishioka, to me, just could not find the bag. I mean, the throw was fine, but take a look at his left foot, how he tried to get it back to the base. He didn't get there in time. He couldn't find it. There he goes. Now he goes back to get it, and you can see Randy Wynn right on top of it. And all of a sudden now, you've got an opportunity for another sacrifice bunt to move the runners up 90 more feet. And if they get 90 feet after third base, this game is over with.
Well, as an infielder, the first thing you do is have to find the bag, know where the bag is, because it doesn't matter. If you catch the ball, you don't know where the bag is, it's evidenced here. Not going to happen.
Got to be an error on the second base.
Absolutely. Recognize where the bag is and you go from there.
Second error of the day committed by Japan. And it's the top of the order, and Michael Young with a chance to win it with a base hit right here in the bottom of the ninth.
You got a key on the shortstop here as far as getting this bunt down is concerned. If, in fact, Michael Young is bunting. Yes, he is.
Wells at second. He's squaring to bunt, pulls it away as the pitch was up and in for ball one. Young on the day, 3 singles, and he's also reached on an error.
And Dave, what I mean by that is the fact the shortstop, as he comes in to talk to the pitcher now, you have to watch him if you are the bunter right now. If he fakes to second and then takes off to third, what that means is that the wheel play is on. They're going to crash it first, they're going to crash it third. There's nowhere for you to bunt that ball. If you bunt it to third like you're trying to do, the third baseman comes up with it and he gets the easy force play. So you have to key off of him. If he stays home, here's the situation. You have to make the third baseman field the bunt.
Fujikawa.
That's all for a setup. Sakuharu putting on the pickoff to try to keep Wells as close as you can. Now, a lot of times here, EK, as you well know, they'll put the wheel play on. He'll fake like they're going to pick him off. The shortstop will take off. The third baseman will crash, and you get the force play you're looking for.
Well, they're telling you right here that they're trying to get the out at third, obviously.
Young indicating a bunt. Gets it down. The throw to third. Got him! Wells is out at third base. The go-ahead man cut down. Fujikawa pouncing on the bunt and firing a strike to the third baseman, Ichiro.
From the get-go, they were trying to get that runner at third base. The first pitch, the third baseman did not charge at all. The second pitch, they had the pickoff at second base to just keep the runner close. And then on that play, again, the third baseman does not charge. He was staying at third. The pitcher had the whole left side of the infield to cover. Fortunately, he was able to get over there and get the runner at third in a force out.
And EK, right along with that, remember the pickoff play on the previous pitch or non-pitch. You never know. Vernon Wells might have shortened up a half a step, and that was all it took for that play to be successful. That was a great job there fundamentally on the part of Team Japan.
And they executed it perfectly right side, and Ichiro staying home at third base and then stretching like a first baseman to make sure he got that out.
And when the shortstop stayed home, you got to make the third baseman field the ball. Michael Young was not able to do that.
Well, here's Derek Jeter, Mr. Clutch for the Yankees over the years, offensively and defensively. And it hits him. Got him in the back, and the bases are loaded for the United States. Painfully so for Jeter, but he will take his base, and they're all filled up for the USA.
Well, again, this guy doing whatever it takes to win, and he's wearing one right in the back. I mean, that's obviously not what he wanted to do in that situation, just trying to come up and into Derek Jeter, keep him from getting his arms extended. Derek had nowhere to go. If you're going to get hit, though, this is the time to get hit.
So now with Ken Griffey Jr. about to get in the batter's box, the United States can win the game on a sacrifice fly with a runner tagging up in third and coming home. Exactly how Japan is going to say they may have lost today's game when such a play was taken away from them on a run-scoring opportunity. This is son Trey Griffey looking on from the best seat in the house inside the U.S. dugout.
He's the bat boy for Team USA, and he's hoping that his dad can become even more of a hero than he's already been.
Randy Wynn, the runner at third. Ken Griffey Jr. in the box, and no place to put him. They're all loaded up as he takes ball one.
I'm really surprised that the outfield is still as deep as it is right now. They're not going to be able to throw Randy Wynn out from where they're at right now. Normally they come in and almost play right behind the infielders to make that throw.
The infield in close on Junior Griffey. Check swing on a high one. 93 with that fastball from Fujikawa. And a count 2-0.
Well, and as a hitter right now, you have to really tell yourself to be patient. And again, it's a lot easier to say. Ken Griffey Jr. recognizes that up there. But again, actually going out and doing it, because you get caught up in the moment, caught up in the crowd. It's a tough situation.
Well, the Japanese staff has only walked one man all day. Fujikawa falls behind Ken Griffey Jr., the 2-0. He went for the downs, and in fact, that hand came off the bat on a mighty cut.
Well, his timing is just off right now. He got a ball up in the zone, but it was something he could not catch up to. Griffey Jr., as well as we do, knows that, I mean, a walk right now is a win.
Well, I think it's similar to that at-bat we saw earlier in the game with Alex Rodriguez. The swing he took on a pitch up in the zone. He didn't really want to swing, and then he swung. In this situation, I think Ken Griffey Jr. saw it. Said, I'm not going to. I swung.
Bases loaded. 3-3 in the ninth. And a pitch to Griffey. Big swing and a foul straight back to the net. Alex Rodriguez on deck if we get that far.
I mean, these are great moments. These are the times when the adrenaline is flowing. There are nerves. If anybody's out there telling you as a player, well, I wasn't nervous, I kept my composure. Well, they're telling you a story right there, because right now it's just who can control themselves the most, who can stay composed. But I'll tell you what, those butterflies are flowing right now.
Griffey ready. Fujikawa ready. Here comes the 2-2. The count is full.
You're pitching, set 3-2 with the bases loaded. What are you throwing?
Whatever my best pitch is. Whatever I feel confident I can throw in the strike zone. And whatever my best pitch is. There really are no weaknesses for Ken Griffey Jr. You saw him expand his zone on the fastball left, but I might have gone there 2-2 to see if I could get some help. You can't go there 3-2 now, because if he doesn't chase, this game is over with.
Randy Myers, the left-handed reliever many years ago with the Orioles, in a bases-loaded situation, 2 outs, 3-2, he used to go with a high fastball out of the zone, using the hitter's excitement against him.
The 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and he did go up top. To Fan Junior Griffey, 2 down.
Well, this pitch is that fastball up out of the zone. Trey not happy, but this is something, again, I mean, as a hitter, you're in a situation where 3-2, you get a base hit, you win the ball game, you just put the bat on the ball. It's very tough to stay under control. And like I said, Randy Myers, a great reliever for the Orioles and Blue Jays, to do it all the time.
Here's Alex Rodriguez now, 1 for 4, a single, 2 strikeouts, and he's also hit into a double play today. First ball swinging, he cuts right through it. The United States today 0 for 8 with men in scoring position. And Fujikawa having just struck out Ken Griffey, gets in front of Alex Rodriguez. He made the terrific play on the bunt to fire a strike to third to get Vernon Wells on the first play. Now he's trying to escape the inning and push it to extra innings. Low for a ball, and the count evens at 1-1.
Well, we know about all the great things Alex Rodriguez has accomplished on the personal level, but he'd be the first to tell you he'd give it all back to have a ring, to have an opportunity to say he won it all. Well, if he gets on base right here, he can take a huge step for Team USA in that direction.
Everybody on the rail in each dugout along the first and third base sides. 3-3 tie, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 down. Up the middle. That's going to sweep through. A base hit and the ball game is over. And the United States has defeated Japan in the ninth inning by a final score of 4-3. Alex Rodriguez with a game-winning single that he muscles up the middle. And in a highly controversial result, Team USA defeats Japan 4-3.
I'll tell you, I mean, the jubilation of the American Ball Club was in contrast to what's going on over in the dugout Team Japan. I mean, those guys over there did not move until just about now. I mean, they were standing over there in disbelief. And it really is, it's an unfortunate play to have earlier in the game, but give credit to the U.S. Ball Club. They kept whipping it away. It's a great ball game, and if this round is anything like this game today, we're going to have a bunch of good games ahead of us.
Well, a special moment, of course, for Alex Rodriguez, the reigning American League MVP with the game-winning hits.